Hey everybody, it is RambleCast time, February 23rd, 2022. We're one day past the infamous Tuesday, Palindrome Day, a day in which dates are goofy and weird. Pretty much all I can say about it.
We're just back to normal now. Very boring.
Yes, the world is no longer a special place. So.
Yep. Yeah. So not a lot happening recently. We're kind of in another lull. You know, we had the CES boost, and now we're kind of back to a dead zone. Because I think Mobile World Congress is next week or this week. When is
I feel like it's got to be next week because wait. Actually, now that even as I say this, I was about to say, because I haven't seen anyone at our team mention traveling, and then it's like, wait, no, of course they're not.
It's the 28th.
Okay, so we've got almost a week.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah, so things will probably happen there. Like I saw, there was Samsung announced that they're going to have a event there, and some leaks seem to indicate they're going to talk about laptops. Probably not any phones or anything like that. They usually save that for their own thing, but yeah, there might be some neat stuff.
I would certainly hope so, but you can never really know with Samsung.
At the very least, I look forward to all the same thing I look forward to with the past CES, which is all the photos of like the half abandoned booths from far fewer people being there than the organizers wanted.
Okay, but unlike CES, I feel like I want to give MWC credit for one huge thing. Now, first off, I wasn't actually sure. They are doing an in-person event, correct?
They are.
Okay.
Because again, like it's the same thing as CES, where like they don't they need the insurance money from like the government telling them they cannot do it, and Spain has not done that, so they're going.
So the one thing I want to give them credit for is, unlike CES, they're not making a big stinky mess about, oh no, we're still super big, we're still super important, oh my god, people are still gonna come visit our show.
Right. Yeah. Like I haven't seen a blog post from the organizer of MWC saying that the media is out to get him.
Yeah, the MWC organizers, actually I don't know that they've really said much of anything, but I get the impression that they're just like, look, we have a show, we encourage people to come. If you're not for any reason, we get it. Like, you can tell they're just not trying to push a bullshit narrative here. They just know they got a show they're gonna put on, and they know they're not gonna have a lot of people there. That's okay. That's how you should be running this event, or this kind of event.
Yeah, it's still like marginally professional.
I would go even professional at a mediocre level.
It's still a very large in-person event with people flying from other countries when COVID numbers are still pretty high. So
I don't want to. It was a great idea.
Yeah, like it. They're being about. Yeah, not a fan, but you're right. They aren't being as much of a jackass as the CES people. So there is that.
Hey, I'm totally okay giving half credit in things like this. CES deserves none. MWC, hey, you get some. You could have canceled it to run the whole thing virtual or something like that. But yeah, hey.
The report card just says like D- instead of see me after class, basically.
I think actually the more apropos way to say it is the report card says present.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all you can hope for.
I mean, well, that's it. It's doubly accurate because people are actually going to be present. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, it's like a dad joke, but worse.
Yeah. So if there's nothing like, oh, I guess you want to talk about the pixel thing real quick.
The renders, or
yeah,
I guess technically we also have the tensor thing, but
yeah, there was that other bit about the chipset stuff, but
so,
both of these are about equally as like
yeah, so. Exactly. So let's start with the renders. We'll drift into the chipset, and
okay,
yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So On Leaks, which is one of the more reputable tech leak people, has shared press renders of the Pixel 7 Pro, not the Pixel 7, just the Pro, and it is,
wait,
February.
There are press renders.
I
didn't scroll low enough.
Yeah, like
got
press,
it.
like they're he's
the
grabbing it
renders,
from the same 3D modeling that they always do, yeah, I mean, it looks exactly like the Pixel 6. Mm-hmm. The only difference is that visor on the back now is curved a little bit up on the edges, so it blends a little bit more into the phone, but it's very minor.
Strictly speaking, it now melds with the edge of the phone.
Yeah.
So you actually have, if it weren't for the antenna lines, you would actually have a seamless. I knew that was going to happen. But you now have a seamless connection between the phone and the edge, which is something. That's an improvement. It's not.
Please stay with us while Cody runs from the light of God.
Exactly. I mean, I could leave it down and just, hey, look at
Cody,
that.
Don't go to the light, Cody.
Actually, I might just cheat and we'll just.
You're gonna lower your brightness.
You better believe it. Turn down that gain to nothing.
That's fine.
It kind of works.
You're gonna have spots in your eyes later from this light shining on you for 3 hours, but that's fine.
Oh no, fortunately I'm not staring into it, but
okay.
You kind of are, you poor bastard. But
yeah, well, you turned it down. I'm okay now.
Yeah. No, it's just the side of my face is gonna be blazing white while the other side is in shadow, but hey, it'll work out.
It's fine.
Anyway.
Yeah, so not, again, pretty much the same phone, screen is about the same size. That they didn't give an absolute precise measurement, but it's about where the Pixel 6 Pro was, which was 6.7 inches. So still big boy phone. Same USB Type-C port, still no headphone jack or micro SD or anything like that. Nothing crazy. That'd be too much to expect in a flagship phone. We can't have the 30-year-old audio jack.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the fact that the camera lens is larger, and that obviously very minor thing with the camera bump being merged into the edges, honestly, you basically won't be able to tell the difference between the 6 and the 7. At least if these renders are accurate, which at this stage, I assume they are.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. They usually with phones that come out later in the year, when we get these first rounds of renders in January and February, sometimes stuff does change a little bit. But
here's the thing about that. If I'm looking at this, or rather, if somebody were to ask me, let's say 3 weeks ago, if someone asked me, hey, here's some rendering software or just a piece of paper, draw for me what a Pixel 7 is going to look like. Mm-hmm. This is very literally exactly what I would have drawn. I mean, I can't point to a single thing on here that I would change that I think would be different than this. I mean, not to say that I wouldn't personally have things that I'd like to change, but there's nothing about this that makes me think, oh yeah, it wouldn't, this is wrong. Everything here is literally exactly what I would predict, which is the kind of thing that makes me think, yeah, it's probably right, because why would anybody change it? Except for those very minor things.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's stuff about the Pixel 6 I would change design wise. I don't. I think did both the 6 and the Pro have a curved screen, or was it just the Pro? I don't remember.
I believe it's just the Pro,
okay,
which I have, so I know it has the curved screen. I technically don't.
I want all
the regular, but
I want all
flat.
Curved screens to die in a fire.
Yeah,
they're all bad.
Yeah, and okay, I'll
what I would
grant.
change.
Again, that's something I would change. Yes, absolutely. But
yeah, I'm not expecting that to. That's that's still seen as like neat by most people. It seems like.
Yeah, but most people do stupid things.
That's true. Yeah, so I will say, if they're changing it this slightly, I kind of would rather see them not change it at all.
Yes.
And so, like, all the cases and screen protectors and everything else made for the current Pixels would work. I feel like if you're gonna like break all that compatibility, then do something cool. If you're not, just cool. If I'm upgrading year over year, which admittedly not a lot of people do, but still, like, then just, if you're changing it, this is like the most minor of changes. So I feel like if you're gonna do that, just leave it how it is, and let me use my case from last year. And also that would, also cut down on, they Google and other companies love to say they're cutting back on environmental waste. Being able to use cases for longer would help with that with newer phones. And also, someone in the chat said, I don't like the camera rings, although they should help with light. I will say, a lot of times with these renders that are just made from like 3D models of the phone, and aren't like the press like what Google's going to put on their shopping website, a lot of times they get small details like that wrong, like the exact layout of the cameras and some other stuff. So it might look different in real life, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and the camera details are almost always different than what gets shown in renders. Not guaranteed. There's certainly some variability to that, but yeah, they have a really strong tendency to end up changing the camera just a bit, or the guess that they make ends up being kind of wrong. So, yeah, I'm not overly worried about the camera. Though if they do make the lenses larger, that does leave me wondering a little bit. And I know most people don't care about this, but if the lenses do end up larger, will there even be a point to having moment lenses after this? I know a lot of people already would say there's no point to them, but at least I think there's a little bit left. There are reasons to still use them. And if they do this, like if the lenses keep getting larger, yeah, that ship will have sailed. Also, hey Carson, and by the way, the small phone people are too loud. That is Austin.
Okay.
So, yes. Hello, guys.
I don't like Austin's name. I feel targeted.
As well, you should.
What's funny is that I don't have anything to say about this phone yet, because I've literally not set it up or done anything. But I did get the if I can take it off its case here, I did get the baby S22 in for review. As of yesterday, I think. I forget when this showed up, but yes, this is just the normal S22. It's not the Plus or the Ultra. I have my normal S21 here too, and it's almost the same size and it's almost the same phone. Only difference is that it's definitely like it's a little bit boxier. Like they're kind of doing the Apple iPhone thing, like the iPhone 4-esque design. It's not like completely square. It's still rounded a little bit around the edge, but it's definitely boxier. And XDA also bought some of the cases to go with this phone. So right now I have the silicone red case on, which I think looks nice. It's very red. And also I'm using Samsung's silicone case for their on my S21, and this is a little bit less grabby, which is nice because the older cases, they get grabby, and then when I pull my phone out of my pocket, like the inside of the pocket comes out with it. So that's nice. Austin said, "No, I changed my name because of Reddit. I actually like how you understand how the market works, Corbin." I don't know how anything works. Let's just get that right there. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, do any of us?
No. So yeah, I need to set this up. I might do that tonight. I've just been busy. And then I expect I will write a review for this that will be almost exactly like the review I wrote for the S21 FE, because just like this phone, just like the S21 FE, this phone is very close to the phone I've been using for a year. And it's almost no different. Like I haven't like looked at the specs one-on-one, but I'm pretty sure like the only change is that they made the battery smaller, they made the screen like a tiny bit smaller, and it's got the new Snapdragon chipset. That's it. Which like I guess is fine, but I just want another S10e. That's what I want. I really want, give me an S10e with modern components, please, and thank you. Just give me my small phone. Sorry, Austin. I had to get that out.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Samsung's putting out so many phones. I don't have any particular.
I know you think one of them would be small, but
yeah.
You'd be wrong.
Exactly, one of them should be small.
Yes.
I guess on a tangent, and B-Slide him asked about this, though I don't think he's watching yet. There was a question about whether or not, or have I decided on whether or not to get the S22 or 22 Ultra, whichever. So far, my thought process is I want to get the Ultra, mostly because of camera options. Though I'm always a little reluctant after that. What was it, 2 years ago? When, maybe it was last year, one of the Ultras came out and it was just a dumpster fire with its camera. Like, it had nothing but problems. Anyway, nevertheless, yeah, I'm kind of looking at getting the Ultra. I'm pretty sure I'll get it from Samsung's site instead of AT&T, as B-Slide suggested. That being said, I haven't had a lot of time, and as far as the phone goes, I'm good with that. I'm good with the trade-in deal. What I haven't decided on is technically I have to change my plan. And right now I'm on this really old grandfathered in like rollover family plan kind of deal. And I'd have to change, I believe, all of those into all of the lines that are on it into unlimited plans. And I want to make sure that there isn't some stupid huge catch like, oh hey, look, I'm gonna have to start paying more because of this or something like that. If that's the case, I'm sticking with the old plan, because it probably doesn't matter, but I'd like to make sure. And who knows, maybe I'd be saving money. Anyway, yeah, it's stuff I just have to look into.
Yeah, I just checked again because I was curious if it changed, but Samsung will only give me $450 for my S21. So that only cuts the price of the cheapest S22 Ultra in half. I don't really need this for $450.
Yeah, and as far as I can tell, the general consensus has been if you aren't like if you're not making at least a 2-year jump, there's really no reason to go to the S22.
Well, I mean, sorry,
like I year is in from a 20 to a 22.
Right. Like for me, it would just be the cameras are kind of better because the base S21 has kind of had cameras. Like they're fine, but they're not like the really good telephotos that have been on the Ultra for a while. Daisy's upset. And also, I would get the stylus. That would also be a different for me.
Yeah, that's another reason I want to get the Ultra. Is I actually think the stylus is a good feature of a phone, not something bad. Let's see. Austin is saying, "Don't do it. It's not worth the discount. The grandfather plan is almost certainly better in terms of data and video throttling." Okay, so in terms of discount, I looked at this once a while ago, and I'm not sure, but I think the unlimited plans would actually cut my price by just a tiny amount. Like, we're talking probably a couple bucks a month. Not enough to even be relevant. At least that's what I kind of remember from several months ago. I have not looked in a while. I'm not sure it's even the same plans. Whatever. As far as the throttling, so this is where things get kind of tricky. First off, I could be wrong, but I believe my current plan doesn't even support 5G. So even granted, I don't live anywhere near 5G, so that kind of doesn't matter either. But if I do travel near it, I'm pretty sure my current plan actually wouldn't allow me onto it. Second, if throttling were that big of an issue, you can get around it with VPNs. So I'm not overly worried about that aspect because you can cheat your way around. I don't know if Google's VPN works with that, but I know I could use another VPN and you can get around the throttling.
I assume it would work with all VPNs because it's just the fact that because it's just the fact that it can see your packets that let it do throttling. So any VPN will bypass that.
It should be that way. And when all is said and done, for the most part, I'm generally okay with, I believe 720 is what it throttles down to. On a phone screen, I can live with that. The only time where I'm going to be bothered by it is if I'm doing a hotspot from my phone, which I actually do quite a bit. And that's the biggest thing I need to look at. So there is that. But I need to actually make sure that it's not going to screw up throttle or screw up the hotspot, as an unlimited plan would be apt to do. And then I would possibly be very annoyed if it throttles video that goes to the laptop. But again, a VPN should work around that. So, let's see. Well, you're mentioning T-Mobile. Again, I'm on AT&T, so T-Mobile fortunately doesn't factor in on this. Let's see. You say AT&T supports 5G on legacy plans. Okay. Well, in that case, that may not be an issue, but I got to look into it, which this is the thing that sucks, that you can't do the trade-in deals with AT&T for basically a free S22. You can't do that without changing plan, which sucks. The thing is, though, I don't feel like I'm losing that much if I change plan. I could be, And that's what I'm looking for. And that's the part that sucks so much. I hate wasting time doing all this research for something that should be a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, and they always make this painful.
Yeah.
Like trying to decode how a carrier plan works is one of the more difficult parts of my job.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing with it's why like I when I worked at PC Gamer and now that XDA is covering a lot of PC stuff, I still actively avoid writing about monitors whenever I can, because that's an absolute minefield of like, what panel does it have? Who made the panel? What's the color calibration? Does it work with G-Sync and FreeSync and all these other factors? And all these companies love to do the thing where if their thing doesn't fit into the highest box, they do not tell you that bit of information.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as, I still see this all the time. When a smartphone company releases a phone with a MediaTek chip, they still will say like, or a low-end Snapdragon, they'll say it's an octa-core processor. That's it. I'm not going to tell you who made it or what the chip is. It just has 8 cores, which is almost every mobile CPU. So that really doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah. Though to be fair, almost every mobile CPU has the exact same layout, which, 1 big, 3 medium, 4 small.
That's like telling me you made a car that has wheels.
Yeah.
Like I sure hope so. Like I don't scared what the alternative is.
Yeah. Also, now I do want to throw kind of the other aspect, because Austin's saying basically hold on to the grandfathered plan. It's not worth getting a free phone for changing your plan. Or in my case, it'd be minimal payment phone. Because I would get the Ultra, and if I'm getting the Ultra, then the monthly payments over 3 effing years. Fuck you, AT&T. The payments over 3 years for that would be like almost nothing. Monthly payment for that is less than, or it's about what it would cost to eat lunch one day, something like that. Anyway, so the other little catch there is, let's be realistic, there will come a day that AT&T is going to look at grandfathered plans and say, you know what, we're just going to make these go away. I think it'll be a long time before that happens, but at some point they will look at old plans and probably start killing them. It's not like there are people out there who are still using like the old unlimited data plans from AT&T. Eventually they killed those off. So how long do I want to try to hold on to it? I don't know. I imagine I could probably go for several more years, but at a certain point it will become impractical. So
yeah, it's like the Windows update that you keep telling to wait. If you don't figure it out now and figure out a time in your schedule where your PC can lay dormant for 3 hours, then it will eventually be forced upon you at the worst possible time.
Which, funny you mentioned that, because we are talking about a Samsung phone, so updates, similar story.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun when I get a once a month security update, and it keeps bugging me like once an hour with like pop-ups like, hey, there's an update. I'm like, I know, but I'm like away from my home right now.
Yeah.
And like I need my phone to work until I get back. It's like, install the app. No, I don't want my phone to be unusable for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing, I still haven't looked into this, but I do need to make sure, only because I know that this has happened with some carrier somewhere. I need to make absolutely certain that there is not a requirement that I actually use the S22 on AT&T. That's not a total deal breaker, but it's likely kind of a deal breaker. I'm still pretty comfortable using the Pixel 3, and eventually I'll probably switch to the Pixel 6. But yeah, I'm I'm fine activating the phone on AT&T, but I don't want that to be my regular carry phone. So, at least not right now. It may be coming later, but today it's not. Or, well, when I order it, it won't be.
I know it used to be a thing where you needed the SIM card in to like download system updates.
Oh, yeah, I'm like 80% certain that's still a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I had no idea. I haven't bought a carrier phone, I think, ever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No, God, I remember sitting here one day when an update came out for, I think it was the Note 5, which gives you an indication for how long ago this was. And like, it, for some reason, that update was a big deal. I don't remember why, but it was just like, you know, hurry up, let's get on this. And I'm checking for updates, and I'm just kind of going off like, why the hell? Like, they said this update was out. I'm the only person here who can test this. Why isn't it downloading? And at some point, David asks me, do you have a SIM card in? And it's like, no. I'm on this other phone. Why would I have a SIM card in there? And he's like, oh, you have to put it in. AT&T won't let you download updates. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? Is that even legal? Like, aren't there policies that make that a complete non-starter? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is illegal. Doesn't matter. That's a thing AT&T does. And it's like, fudge. So yeah, I sure enough put in the SIM card, reboot the phone. Hey, look at that! The update available.
Yeah. Oh, that's my washing machine saying it's done. Yeah. So that was I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, the Ultra. Yeah, and yeah, I've checked it a couple times. I like, it seems neat. Like I would really like that telephoto lens, because the telephoto on my phone is not that good. And I do end up using it a lot. So that would be a pretty nice upgrade for me. But, you know, like I said, it'd be $450, assuming they take my trade-in. You know, there's always the risk with Samsung that they won't accept the phone for whatever reason, and then you have to deal with that.
Yeah, that is one thing that makes me nervous about this too, because Samsung's history is awful.
Yeah, and then it still has a curved screen. I refuse to go back. I will. It's nice just being able to put on a screen protector and know that like it's my phone screen's gonna be fine for as long as I have it, and I don't need to do that weird contraption I've seen people use with curved screens where like you need like a pressing thing to get it on the phone and it comes off.
Okay, but to be fair, that guarantees that it is a nice, perfectly straight.
I don't like it. just give me my sheet of tempered glass. Let me stick it on like a sticker.
I actually have one of those that I need to apply to the OnePlus 9, and yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I want to. I'm actually okay with this idea of using the alignment guide thing.
Well, when I like the one that I have, or like I just bought a new pack of the same screen protector I've been using for this phone because all the coating wore off because I've had this phone for a year now, and it did come with a little like plastic thing that's just like a guide, but it's not like the more complex things I've seen that are required with curved screen phones.
Right.
Yeah, like Austin's mentioned, like glue. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not keen on the glue strategy. No. That feels a little much for me.
Yeah, I think I looked at one of those when I was using back when I was using a OnePlus 7 Pro as my main phone, which comes with a screen protector, or it did come with a screen protector pre-applied, which I appreciated, but eventually that, you know, was kind of not good, and eventually like Or else I was like, okay, I gotta find something else. And all I was finding was those ones where you need like a whole machine to stuff. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll do something. I'll figure something else out here.
Yeah, this is another one of those things. I feel like it could be done so much better. Just
It's called having a flat screen. That's all it's called.
yeah, there's that, but I mean, I feel like there should be something that repair shops could do universally that would just kind of be the perfect workaround for this. Yes, it would cost a little bit of money to take it in, but if there was a little bit of investment into making a decent machine to do this, you could have a repair shop. You just take your phone in, say, hey, I want to reapply oleophobic coating, or I want to apply this kind of, like good good type of screen protector. I feel like that should just be a thing that almost everyone should be able to do. But for various reasons, it keeps being impractical.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about browser stuff now if we're done with phone talk.
Yeah, I technically had that Pixel 7 tensor chip thing, but I can't think of anything to say. They're gonna do a second gen tensor chip. Big whoop. We know.
Yeah. I would be shocked if that wasn't true.
Exactly. That
would be a lot.
Honestly, this has been a week. So much of the stuff that happened this week has basically been, hey, remember, you see that thing? If we told you that it wasn't going to be this way, you'd be surprised. But we now have confirmation it's going to be exactly the way you expect it to be. So, news.
Yeah. Well, I will put, this has been ongoing for months. So it's not really like a new topic, but there's been more focus on it, and I don't think we've talked about it here, so I'm gonna say that's good enough. I just put it in the Discord.
Yep.
So this is a whole thing that's going on where Chrome is coming up on version 100. I think in the next release. I forget what they're on. Let me see if I go to about Chrome. Okay, I have Chrome 98, so it's either next release or the one after that. And then Firefox is pretty close behind. They're just a couple versions behind Chrome, and I believe they have the same 4-week update cycle at this point. So Chrome and Firefox are both going to hit version 100 in a couple months, which is an issue for some web pages that look for what the version number is. So, once again, this goes back to one of my favorite web development things, which is the user agent string, which is this absolute mess of a string of letters and numbers that is supposed to identify what the browser is. And when web browsers were new, this was just the name of the browser and what version it was. But then Netscape came out, and it was way better than everything else. So a lot of websites started checking the user agent to see if you were using Netscape, and would only show you the website if you were using Netscape. And then Internet Explorer came out, and it wanted to work with the same sites. So it put both Internet Explorer and Netscape in its user agent. And then this continued to happen when Firefox came out, when Safari came out, when Chrome came out. So now, if I look at my user agent with Chrome on my computer, I have Mozilla 5.0 Linux, Apple WebKit, KHTML, which is what WebKit is based on, like Gecko, which is Firefox's engine, Chrome, and then Safari. That is my user agent. So this is a horrible mess. And in fairness, Google has been working on a replacement API called Browser Hints that makes all of these easier to parse and actually true. It probably won't work, but whatever.
Yeah.
But the issue is that because user agents are kind of a mess, and there's not an easy way to parse parts of it, a lot of websites are not checking them fully accurately. A lot of websites are only looking at the first 2 digits of whatever it thinks the version string is. So if a website was doing that with Chrome 100, it would think you were using Chrome 10. And same thing with Firefox. So yeah, so this is a fun issue because this is the classic problem of web browsers having to at least do their best to retain compatibility with the entirety of the World Wide Web, which is kind of difficult. And so Google and Mozilla are trying two different things here. First is they've been testing, like Google's been doing this where they've been testing the Chrome 100 user agent, which is random people, and see what happens. And they've noticed a couple sites broken that way. And Mozilla, I don't know if Mozilla's been like quietly testing that, but they do have a flag in their browser you can turn on to make it report that it's version 100. So they've been noticing some sites that are broken. I was looking at, there's a list that Mozilla has. Here it is. Oh wait, is that it? Currently, they had a list of some of the websites that were broken. I was looking through, and there was like Yahoo was in there a lot. I guess Yahoo doesn't know how to make a website, which is kind of ironic because they've been doing it longer than most other people. And I also saw Bethesda's website was in there because, of course, it is. It's a very Bethesda thing to do.
Yeah.
But if Chrome and Firefox get to version 100 before they have this like pretty narrowed down, like they get all the major websites fixed, they do have backup plans. So Firefox's plan is to just stay on version 99 for as long as possible, basically in the user agent. Which like the thing about user agents is that for years now, you're not supposed to be able to use them to check what the browser can do. You're just supposed to test, like when I'm writing a website, if I need to know if the web browser can look at WebP images, for example, I just do the check if this can do WebP, and that's it. I'm not supposed to check the version number, and that's been the recommended guidance for a long time. But a lot of sites still do that. So there is that.
Okay, so first, oh man, there's a lot I want to say here. But I will say very, very first off, for the most part, the test it when, the test you're supposed to do, this isn't exclusive, but it is so generally focused either on CSS testing, which isn't really a test if you can do it, but rather write the, if you support this, here's what you do. If you don't support this, here's what you should do instead. That's usually how CSS is kind of handled. And most of the other testing you're doing is JavaScript based. Mm-hmm. So testing for version number doesn't necessarily cover, or rather it covers a bunch of stuff that isn't necessarily covered by CSS and JavaScript scenarios. So I kind of get it for that reason, especially if you're talking about on the server side. If the server needs to make a decision before the browser it has had a chance to read the page. In those scenarios, I can see checking version number.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking back to the WebP example. Like Cloudflare has a thing where they replace the images on your site with WebP.
Yeah.
And they do that when you're loading the page, so they would need to know what the string is. But yeah.
Okay, so the other thing, and I know this is me being maybe a little snobbish about this, but I just feel compelled to say this to any developer out there who is version checking by just checking the first 2 digits of the number. Guys, regular expressions aren't that pathetic. You can do better. It, like, learn how to write a regular expression, or I don't know, do what you've been doing for the last 20 effing years and just wait till someone smarter than you does it and then copy it. That's how websites have been built all this time. You have the capabilities to copy and paste. It's not hard.
Well, the issue here also is that like Google has been like identifying browser libraries that have this issue. So even if you were like, I don't feel comfortable doing this, I'm gonna go use a library. Like there's still a lot of libraries that are not fixed. But
yeah, but most of those libraries, you would think, if they're being maintained at all, this is one of those things. It's like a Y2K bug. Somebody had to have noticed this a couple years ago and said, wait a second, what's going to happen here? At which point all the different web communities would have been like, oh yeah, okay, we'll implement a fix for this someday, at which point it would have been resolved.
I think definitely once Chrome started getting into like version 50, I think most people should have had the foresight to go like, oh yeah, they'll probably get to triple digits in the near future. We should probably make sure this works. But I can totally understand if like Mr. Web Developer from 1997, it didn't occur to them that browsers might hit triple digit version numbers at some point.
Yeah.
Because at that point we were still on like, you know, like Netscape 6, and it had already been around for almost a decade. So,
but yeah, I mean, this is to me, this is the same situation that Linux had when everyone realized, oh hey, Y2K doesn't affect Linux, but in 2038, all of a sudden stuff's gonna break, and everyone in the Linux community is like, okay, so we have 38 years to solve this problem. Actually, when they first realized this, it was like 40 years. We can do that. And they have. I guess technically it was solved only in 2019, so I'm actually shocked it took that long. But yeah, they solved it. It's done. No one needs to worry about this. Now, according to this one article title I see here, they don't have to worry about it until 2486. That will be their new explosive date.
I won't have to worry about that. I'm fairly certain. So that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I
will only live to the ripe old age of 328, Cody.
I'm anticipating going full cyborg at some point, and I'll tell you right now, I don't want my robotic parts crashing in 2486.
They probably still will, because if they're anything like Internet of Things devices now, they all have really old versions of the Linux kernel at all times.
Yes.
But so Firefox's mitigation is basically to just do what they've been doing with a lot of websites and make a list of websites that are broken, and for those websites they will just keep it at 99. Which is what they already do for a lot of websites with other fixes. They have this whole thing called web compat, which basically like undoes a lot of websites that try to make features Chrome only. Even when like there's no reason to, they just don't feel like testing it. But yeah, that's Firefox's thing. Chrome's backup again, like they're trying to just, you know, do it normally. But if that fails, their backup plan is to put the keep the first number as 99, and then move the actual version to the second set, like the after the dot. Yeah. So yeah.
You know, for moments like this, I swear I just need to add something to OBS so I can have like a facepalm meme pop up.
Yeah.
Or something.
This is. I love user agent nonsense, because it is like the source of all compatibility issues on the web, basically, and it's this perfect like legacy code base problem, right, where like you're just trying to patch onto it whatever needs to be fixed, and it's also the perfect combination of like of like lazy developers who are checking this when they don't need to be. Again, like you said, there's some reasons, but most of them don't do that. It's lazy developers. It's the browser vendors from the past 20 years, like trying to one up each other by like adding their competitor's browser in their user agent so they match all the same sites. It's also like actual compatibility issues, like like when Chrome was starting out, it had to have Safari in its user agent, not just because it was based on Safari, but because like a lot of the websites that were built with these modern browser standards, they looked for Safari. So like if that wasn't in there, then Chrome would just get like the Internet Explorer sites, which were not good. So it's this perfect mess of just absolute nonsense, in much the same way that of like Windows is in its entirety. It's just hilarious to look at.
Yeah. The whole world, this is definitely one of those things where the whole world kind of, or of web developers, kind of looks at this and just rolls their eyes and goes, come on, can't we all just agree, like next month, let's all just go do the right thing, solve this problem to then, and be done with it. We don't have to solve it again and keep making it worse.
Yeah. And part of this issue is that like whoever came up with user agents initially, I don't know if it was like Brendan Ike or whoever made this monstrosity, but when it was made, it's just a text string, right? So like it needs all this extra work just to parse it, and that's also part of the problem. You couldn't just have like check a variable to figure out what version you're on, which actually I think that exists, but like there's something weird with that. I forget.
It does, but yeah. The thing is, though, strictly speaking, even you said the original user agent was literally just the browser name and maybe version. Like at that time, that actually was just that. It was the right thing. It was just supposed to be a text string with the name of the browser. That was correct. That's what it started as. So whoever came up with user agent actually didn't do anything wrong. It's that along the way, someone else was like, we just need to glue this extra little bit on there, and it still makes sense. It's still what was intended, but now we've added a little bit, and it's this growing like tumor-like thing that has come out of this process. So by the way, anybody who ever writes software for a living, any software project given a long enough timeline will do this. Every single thing will somehow get bastardized from what was the original clean intent into something that is just a mess.
And web browsers are such a unique case because they're really the only example of a software platform where it's trying to support decades of supposedly software. A lot of it's just mostly static pages, but it like generally needs to work with all of that, and like it can't really like deprecate or remove very much.
Yes, Corbin, keep describing Windows.
Exactly. Yeah. Windows is kind of an example of this, but like it's funny because like Chrome deprecates and removes some stuff, but it's always like the APIs they introduced 5 years ago and no one used. But like, and then there's other stuff like the blink HTML tag that they can't really get rid of. So they'll, like you're not supposed to use it, but it's still in there because if they removed it, good luck browsing the Internet Archive, in the 90s.
So it's funny because I think back to this. Maybe I don't think it was an interview, but at some point I heard Chet Haas talking about development work on Android. And for those that don't remember, Chet Haas is, well, he's done a lot of roles, but fundamentally he is basically the MC of Google I/O. So you've probably seen him in many capacities there. He's also one of the lead developers on the Android UI Toolkit team, the Android UI Framework team, the Android blank, 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 various other teams. But anyway, at one point I remember him saying that one of the things that they are super careful of is they really think through all of the APIs that they make public, and even a lot of the ones they make private, because basically it's really hard to remove something, and you don't want to deprecate things if you don't have to. It breaks stuff. It's really, really prone to breaking stuff. And it's funny because clearly no one told the Chrome developer team this very same piece of wisdom, because they add new APIs every week. I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah,
but not really.
yeah. Well, Chrome releases are once every 4 weeks, and usually
I'm not talking about when they release it, just when they add them.
Right, right. Like like every new Chrome release usually has like at least 1 or 2 new APIs for something. It might be something minor like a new CSS attribute or something, but yeah, like they're going in pretty frequently. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that's a fun browser thing that's going on. I might see if I can. I wonder if there's enough in this to make a Tech Tales about just user agents. That'd be hilarious. Here's the story about the back and forth for browser compatibility.
It feels trollish, but I like it.
At the very least, that can be a nice 20-minute episode edited. At the very least, that's a nice little break there.
Yeah.
I need some of that. I keep like picking topics. I'm like, I want to read about this. Like, oh no, there's a lot of information here.
Oh yeah. Somehow I have a feeling you're gonna try to do one on user agent strings, and you will somehow end up with like longest episode of Tech Tales you've ever done.
Yeah, it's gonna be something really stupid.
Holy crap, we're breaking it into 3 episodes.
Yeah, I think the longest episode still is it's the Fallout 76 is 50. Okay, no, it's the Adobe Flash one that is 59 minutes. I did not anticipate that to be that long. That should have been 2 parts probably, but
yeah, that one actually would have deserved 2 parts, but.
Well, yeah, I was again, I was trying to narrow its scope. I didn't want to do the whole history of Flash, and I apparently didn't narrow the scope enough.
Also, you had me on.
That's true. That was my first mistake.
Well, if you want short episodes, to be fair, I think if you actually had me on for User Agent, honestly, I don't think there's a lot that I'd have to say other than just mocking. That's
true. I need to find another web developer to rant about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done web development, but User Agent is one of those. It's so hard to have anything to say about it.
Yeah, well,
it's just
I'll find a way. Yeah.
Anyway,
so speaking of browsers, there's a fun other thing I wanted to mention. We'll put this in as soon as I am on the wrong window. There it is. We have OS2 news, folks.
Yeah, I knew you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah. So if anyone listened to the series on the operating system OS2 that I did with Cody for the Tech Tales podcast, I briefly mentioned near the end some stuff about web browsing. So OS2 was this operating system that Microsoft and IBM made. That it was going to replace Windows. It did not. And then IBM kept working on it. And then other companies like licensed the code or some of the code base from IBM to keep working on it. Not all of it. Right now there's a company called Arkanoe, I think, that's working on it. So it is technically under active development somehow. Um, but most of their work is just like drivers and applications. I don't think they have the rights to like actually modify a lot of the core system stuff. So it's still 32-bit only. There's a lot of other issues with it, but I guess I guess enough people use it to the point where they at least break even on development. I'm not quite sure how that works when my Patreon is sitting at $4, but that's fine. But one of the issues with OS2 now is that it doesn't really have a web browser. So they were, back when OS2 was somewhat new, they were porting Netscape and Firefox. Back when Firefox was new, and they've kept backporting Firefox to OS2. But the issue is that starting with Firefox version 49, which was in 2016, that's when Mozilla started ripping out a lot of the rendering code and replacing it with Rust code, which is great for everyone except people trying to port it to OS2, because there is no Rust compiler for OS2 because it's a new language, or newer language. So that Firefox 49 is the last version you can use on OS2, which is getting old and unusable. So right now, what I think it's mostly this one dude. Do I have his name? Roderick Klein, who, for the most part, this has been his work for the past couple years. He's been porting Qt 5 over to OS2, which is a multi-platform like UI framework, basically. Yeah. It's what like a lot of applications use Qt to render their interface. Especially, it's pretty popular on Linux. Like if you use the KDE desktop, most of the apps there are Qt.
Okay, quick reference for anyone who would look this up. Qt is spelled with just the letters QT.
Yes.
Pronounced cute, because whoever came up with this is just...
They were trying to be cute.
They're begging for people to roll their eyes. Yeah. And also, as a fun little aside, BlackBerry OS 10, their native apps were built on Qt. C++ and Qt, whereas they also supported Android apps, web apps, and something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
BlackBerry OS 10 was doing Tech Tales on that. I've got rants.
I do have BlackBerry in there somewhere, and it'd be a disservice if I didn't tell you to come on for that one.
I have rants. I never actually used older Blackberries. Only BlackBerry OS 10, and actually whatever that short-term thing was that they did on the playbook before 10 happened. But yeah, anyway.
Oh, I think no. QNX was the main.
Well, that's
OS, right?
That's what the playbook and BlackBerry 10 were both based on. And the playbook was supposed to get 10, but whatever it was on, it was, I think it was kind of like a pre-10, because it even ran the same apps and everything, or kind of did. Also, while I didn't use it, I had a friend who had multiple, like lots of BlackBerry Storms. So I have comments on those too. But yeah, anyway, if you do a Tech Tales on BlackBerry, count me in.
There'll be one at some point. That's one of the ones where I'm like intimidated by, because honestly, my only first-hand experience with BlackBerry in its prime was the 2 or 3 times I saw my aunt growing up when she'd come to visit, and she had a BlackBerry always. So that was it. None of my friends or immediate family ever had those.
I do remember a buddy of mine when the company he worked for gave him a BlackBerry. Prior to that, you couldn't even get this guy to carry a cell phone on him. He wasn't even reliable about having his home phone. Like, that wasn't even always active. His company got him a BlackBerry, and seriously, he suddenly had this thing stapled to his hip. He couldn't bring himself to remove it. It was so weird watching that transition.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh, we can talk about BlackBerry actually after this, because there's the whole license thing, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like Qt is like this cross-platform framework that I think is still like one of the better ways to make a cross-platform app that's native, that's not Electron. We don't talk about Electron. So they're trying to port this framework because, number one, it would make bringing modern apps to OS2 marginally easier. And number two, Qt has a web browser component. It has like a web view, like Windows and Mac OS and Android do, which is based on Chromium. So if they do this, they can get a whole framework for making apps, and they could get a modern web browser. It's like a 2-for-1 deal. So for several years, I think pretty much this one guy, and I know there's been a couple of other people helping with like compiling stuff, but it's mostly been this one person who's been porting Qt to OS2 and getting a web browser called Otter browser running. I actually made a mistake when I wrote this article originally. I thought Otter browser was new, but it is an existing web browser that's on like Windows and Mac and stuff that uses the framework. So they're just porting it. This browser already exists, but they're porting it to OS2. So they're releasing a public beta soon of this browser. And that will be that, that's when effectively Chromium will be on OS2, which is kind of weird, but that's neat, I guess.
Oh,
it's very, yeah.
It's such a 2022 thing to have happen.
It's so weird because, again, like I can't think of another example of like a software platform like this being just it has just enough like modern software to kind of be functional, which is really interesting. Like there's a lot of other projects like this, but they're all like fairly modern, or they're just not made for like being used on a computer at all.
Yeah.
Like like another example kind of like this is Haiku, which is a continuation of BOS. And they've actually like done like a whole modern tool chain. Like it started off as BOS compatible. They're not really trying to do that anymore. It's just like made in the same design goals as that. And they've got they're starting to port more software to it. So it's actually pretty cool now. But this is just weird. This is like, again, like this is still 32-bit. You can't use more than 4 gigs of RAM. So I guess they'll have like one tab in the web browser, and that'll be it. That's all you can use.
Jeez.
But yeah, so that's fun. And going back to BlackBerry, there was the thing about the BlackBerry phone that was in development is now dead officially.
Oh, okay. I've got the thing from Ars about online mobility loses their brand license.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, so after BlackBerry was done making its own phones, they let TCL have a license to the BlackBerry name, and TCL made a bunch of BlackBerry branded phones. Some of them were just normal phones with BlackBerry logo slapped on. Some of them were like actual physical keyboard devices. But TCL stopped doing that, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if like BlackBerry pulled the license or just their original contract ran out and they didn't feel like renewing it. But there was now the opportunity for someone else to take the dead brand and try to make something with it. So this new startup company showed up. I think they were based in Texas, called Onward Mobility. And they announced, was it like 2 years ago? I'm not sure, but they were working on a supposed 5G BlackBerry phone that would have had a physical keyboard. and they said almost nothing about it. And then about like 2 months ago, I think at the start of 2022, they said like, yeah, we're still around. It's just taking longer than we thought, because there's a whole whole Panera going on, and also we can't get chips and all that, all that fun stuff, which might have been a cover, but maybe not. Like either of those things are probably true.
Yeah.
But then the news came out from the founder of Crackberry, who's still kicking. He learned that BlackBerry pulled its license from Onward Mobility, so they couldn't make a BlackBerry phone anymore. Theoretically, they could have still made the phone, just they couldn't say it was a BlackBerry.
Right.
Supposedly, again, like I know maybe they had like some very weird license where like BlackBerry owned everything they were working on or something like that, but that would have been a little bit weird. But yeah, so that came out, and then Onward Mobility didn't say anything for a while, and then on the 18th, they updated their website to say that they're done. They're filing for bankruptcy, and that's it. No phone.
Feels like this is pretty much just what happens with anyone that tries to do anything with the BlackBerry name. You will go bankrupt. You will fail.
Oh, thankfully TCL has some very mediocre TVs to help it keep it afloat. But this was like true. This was the only thing Onward Mobility was doing, and I do wonder, like, I wonder why they didn't try to release the phone on their own. Like, is the brand that, like, I know obviously all the attention was on it because it was BlackBerry sanctioned. But there's been other phones with physical keyboards recently that have like enough of a following to generate sales and make second and third versions of. Like I actually have the, like Unihertz. I think this is their second or third keyboard phone I have. So there's that. I know there's that one made by the company whose name I can't pronounce. That was more of like, it was more like a slide out, but it wasn't sliding, it was like folding. It was like a little laptop basically, but it ran Android. So like there is enough of a market where at least a few of these phones can exist and presumably make money, but I guess they felt like they didn't have enough without the name.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the company's filing for bankruptcy, look, I think they were likely suffering a bigger problem already.
Yeah, almost certainly. Because again, like even if you do everything right, like it is, unless you're just slapping your logo on an ODM phone, manufacturing smartphones is like immensely difficult.
It's expensive. Like, it's hard to do. Well, it's hard to do well, and very fundamentally, I think this is the thing a lot of people really don't understand. Unless you get a pretty sizable market share or you have a ridiculous markup,
you're like you have a lot of orders. Yeah, you need a lot of orders ready to go.
And I mean, think about it. HTC couldn't make it, and they had a pretty good
LG couldn't make it.
Yeah.
LG is one of like the most, it has the most resources out of most of the tech companies on this planet.
Yeah.
Just couldn't make competitive phones still.
Exactly. Now, granted, whoever was in charge of designing the phones, it's not hard to see why they didn't make it. But
Sony can barely make phones. If they didn't have Japan, they would have been out almost immediately.
That actually is very true.
People in Japan keep buying their phones.
Well, and you know why, right?
Yeah, because they're a Japanese company.
Nope. I mean, that's a little bit of it, but Sony owns, it's not exclusive rights, but Sony basically owns the patents on these this payment technology that is basically the same tap and pay stuff we use. but it's a specific protocol that's used in Japan. And as a result, their phones are super, super popular because they are the best option for this. It's actually almost like the iMessage situation here, but for payment there. And it's not that other companies can't do it. Other companies do, which is why Nokia actually performed really well there for a long time. But yeah, Sony has this incredible advantage, and and so as a result, they get to control Japan.
Since Saigas couldn't even make it, and they were using dual Qualcomm processors. Oh
Dude,
man, I gotta do a Sega's Tag Tales that's going in the list.
Oh, I thought it already was on there.
No.
But anyway, Austin, find somebody near you, anyone near you. It doesn't even have to be right now, but just find someone near you and get them to give you a high five for that.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Mandatory high five. Yeah. The other thing that was like, I if I was trying to again, like, we know so little about what happened here. Maybe in like 2 years, once those NDAs expire, we'll get some juicy details about what was going on in this company. But I would assume maybe one of the other issues here was that I know initially when they had their page up, that was like, email me when you have a phone ready to sell. They were heavily pushing like, are you a company and how many phones would you want for your like fleet of devices? And I will say, if I was the IT person at a large company and I needed to buy phones that needed to be secure and I knew would work and be supported for a long time, I would never in a million years choose a startup company's products. I would go for Apple or Samsung or one of these other companies that has been around for a long time and I know will continue to exist for a while and has, established software support. I would not buy, hundreds, potentially thousands of phones from a brand new company. That sounds like a bad idea. So if they were going for that, like if that was what they were really hoping for, like the BlackBerry model, except without the existing reputation of BlackBerry, I can see why that didn't go well.
Okay, I don't disagree. I think this is something where you and I, our perspectives on things, we would generally choose reputable, well-known companies to get phones or equipment from.
That's true. When I was saying that, I was imagining I had I wasn't going to cheap out, but
yeah.
I think where you're going with this is that companies want cheap things.
Actually, that's also part of where I was going with it. But yeah.
And also IT departments are usually criminally underfunded. So they might not have enough money for the new Galaxy. They might have to go like, what's this company? Onward Mobile? Okay, great. We'll buy 100.
Yeah. So I would add to that, a whole lot of IT departments have decisions made based on what kickbacks they're willing to give to just the person making a decision. So, Samsung might charge you, I don't know, let's say $800 per device on a device that might cost $1,000. Whatever. Onward Mobility might charge you that same price on a phone that would cost the same amount, or maybe they'd even charge a little bit more, but they're going to give a quiet kickback to the IT manager. Like, they might pay him out $10,000 or cover his vacation to the Cayman Islands or whatever. They will. That has a big effect on what companies get. And that's how a lot of companies end up with some real shady stuff. Also, a lot of really bad software. Oracle.
Yeah. Well, same thing with, every time I try to read about what NASA's up to, it's usually something like that, where it's like, oh, their new rocket is not going so well because there's a lot of corruption
in the rocket
decision
space.
in the decision making process, right? Like you dig down deep enough and you find out that like the congressional act that funded the what they're trying now, which is the space launch system, was like specifically made so that like Boeing or whoever would be making everything, and they wouldn't actually have to make any new rockets. They could just reuse everything from the space shuttle. So yeah, that checks out. I believe that.
Yep.
And I just checked Segas's website, and it is still online somehow. I mean, there's nothing about like taking orders or anything. There's literally just like photos of all the awards that they won. I wonder if like Wired has ever asked them to take their name off of this, but maybe not.
I doubt they have a web developer there who could do it.
I mean, this says powered by WordPress at the bottom, so it's possible they might have just paid for like a decade of hosting.
That's
it's just
similar,
online by yeah. That's very possible. I should enter my email to be notified for updates.
Oh, good. Your email, you do realize your email is totally going to get sold to like every scam marketer now.
I'm already getting spam that Gmail can't catch. That it's fine. Although I did, so I put in my email and there was a box for where I think a CAPTCHA was supposed to go, and there was nothing there. So it loaded and it took me to a page that says you're registered, but there's lots of half-broken HTML tags. So I don't actually know if anything happened, but yeah, we'll find out.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick on the kind of browser related. I mean, this is close enough, but I think it's a neat little. It's just an aside because it deserves to be picked on, kind of a thing. News came out this week that Chrome OS is finally getting animated screensavers. Ooh boy.
Oh yeah. I saw this headline and I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
This is
one
of those things. When you see it, you have to stop and go, wait, they didn't have that? Are you sure?
I mean, is it like why I'm confused why these need to exist anymore. Am I missing something? Because like I know the original point, like the fact why it's called a saver, was that like CRTs had burn-in. So if you either like would turn them off when you're not using them, or then you gotta wait like a whole minute for them to turn back on when you want to use the computer again, or you just let it go to a screensaver.
Okay, so I do think it is worth acknowledging. There are still plenty of monitors out there that are either A, really old and people just simply have them and you might plug your Chromebook into them, I guess, or something.
Okay.
More to the point, there's still technology that has image retention issues.
Oh, you know what? This probably is connected to the Chrome OS Flex stuff, where now Google. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, I don't know if we talked about it, but you know that distro of Chrome OS that like was made by Neverware, that's like for like schools and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Google bought that I think 1 or 2 years ago, and pretty recently they announced they're like rebranding that into Chrome OS Flex, and it's like a little bit more official now. So it's it's like the same. It's closer to the same code base as Chrome OS now. So it's basically Chrome OS you can sideload, essentially. So I guess screensavers there makes sense because it's like for schools and other companies that are still using old hardware but want to manage them like Chromebooks. So okay, I guess I see that. I'm just thinking of like, like I don't, like Chromebooks, like they're generally fine. Probably don't need this, but supporting older hardware makes sense, I guess.
Well, and Chrome boxes would definitely have this sort of scenario. Also, and I'm not really one of them, but I know a lot of people just like animated screensavers. You know, judge them or not, whatever. But
Sure.
yeah, some people are just into that. That's fine. I'm
Now
not judging. I don't like the distraction of it.
I think Google should go all the way and let you install screensavers like you install web apps. Like if you have a website, you add a little tag to it that says yes, I'm a screensaver, and then you can install it. Or put on the Chrome Web Store. That'd be fun. You could do some fun stuff with that.
Yeah, Carson brings up they've had a slideshow screensaver for a while now.
Okay.
But it is very literally just a slideshow. It just opens a photo and then it switches to a new photo. This is going to be, and it's funny because the thing that they have is evidently, it is now your same photos, but they are placed on what looks like kind of Polaroids, and they're hanging from what are kind of like clotheslines.
Oh, so
and
it's not like moving the whole screen.
Yeah, it's not covering the whole, which still, that's obviously possible now, but the whole point is now the photos kind of flutter in the wind or something like that. So it is now legitimately an animated screensaver, and apparently this was not possible in the past. And that's the part that stands out to me as just the most serious WTF. How is it that all these years later they couldn't do animated screensavers? How is that a thing? Why?
I really like Austin's suggestion. He said we need a bouncing chrome T-Rex like the DVD logo. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one. I would, you know what, I'm trying to think to like the last time I like really used screensavers, and it was probably like Mac OS X Tiger. Mac OS X back then had some pretty cool screensavers. I think the iTunes visualizer was also available as a screensaver. So like if you had music playing and let your computer go idle, you could just do like animations based on the music. That was pretty cool.
In fact, there was apparently some drama over the fact, I don't remember what was changed, but something in the last year or two, maybe 3, but I think about a year ago, something was changed in Mac OS where the iTunes visualizer could no longer be sent. It could no longer be mirrored, or it couldn't be sent to a second screen or something like that. And apparently a whole bunch of DJs got really pissed at this because that used to be the thing they would use for visuals during their shows.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised iTunes is the only app that has that still. We've had WebGL for a decade now. You're telling me the Spotify web app can't give me a little visualizer or something? Come on, guys.
I mean,
see, this is the money they should be spending on instead of Joe Rogan.
I can't help but think back to the good old Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass. It had a visualizer.
Yeah,
but sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your Joe Rogan joke.
No, yeah, I was just saying, think of all the screensavers you could make with $300 million. You could make a lot.
300? I thought it was just 200.
Oh, I think it was 200. Yeah.
Okay.
Still, that's a lot of screensavers.
That is a lot of scratch for screensavers.
Yeah. So I think that'd be fun if they just treated screensavers like web apps and just let you install them and pick whatever you wanted as your default. And they could just be web pages, so people could make cool info panel ones or visualizers, or just have fun porting all the ones from Windows 95 or whatever. I'm sure that people have already done that as web pages. But yeah, that'd be fun. I'd mess around with that. Carson said, hopefully you can put NFTs in it. Carson, fuck off. Don't ever say that.
Oh. I mean, you can. You can right click and save them to the Google Photos.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, like I said, I had to hit that one.
I'll bring up this one other web one, and then I'll probably go because I'm starving. I want to eat. So this is a fun stupid thing that I wrote about like a week ago. So it's not new, but I didn't talk about it yet here. Um, so
Oh,
Opera Opera announced a thing like a week ago, um, where they now support. Okay, so here's the thing. I saw the Verge's coverage of this. They basically just covered it like just straight, like no, like not really looking into it a ton.
they didn't call out the
The
BS. Yeah.
Right. It was just it was just like the PR, like, and it was like Opera now supports emoji web domains. So I was like, okay, is this like a new browser standard I didn't know about or something? But no. So what this is there is a company called YAT, and their whole thing is that they sell uh, strings of emojis to act as identifiers. So the idea is that you buy a couple emojis like in a row that like maybe describe you or like a project you're working on, so like a domain name. Like you buy your name as a domain name, or you buy the domain name for something you're working on or whatever. Um, Except they're not domains. They are right now. They're the URL is like the string of emojis dot something dot y, or like it's like the emojis dot yat, like it's like a subdomain on their
Yeah.
website, or it's a like a backslash on their website. So you're paying for a page on their website, and some of these emojis get up to like stupid prices. If you get, again, it's like web domains where you get the ones that are very common, it costs more. um, but again, it's silly because like you don't own anything. It's just a web page on someone else's website. Um, and there's all this stuff on their website about like how they're like I was it this one was infuriating to cover because I kept like going through their website trying to find like actual answers to what they were talking about, and it just didn't. It was just all like nonsense language. Um, so like I started actually finding answers in their support pages that they have, and I figured out a little bit more when I went to their LinkedIn. So basically, like they're trying to figure out some way to make these like NFTs, like these strings of emojis. I don't know how that works, but they're they're trying to make them like tradable, so like you own it, like I guess. Um, but none of that is like functional at all. But they
Yeah.
still like hype it up as if that's already working. Like these are like these are like personal identifiers that you own. It's not like a domain name. And it's like, but that's not working yet. Right? That's like, again, that's like every startup that wants to be the next Tesla, and they're like, look at our electric car, and you realize there's nothing in the car. It's just a sheet of metal with wheels on it. And it's it's very bizarre. And I was trying to read about it, and I like that they had a line in their support articles of like, uh, again, like scrolling through their LinkedIn, there's all this nonsense language that they keep bringing up, like metaverse and Web3 and all these words that just don't mean anything. Um, and then I got to the part in their LinkedIn where apparently they raised like, oh god, like they sold one emoji of a golden key, like just the golden key emoji, for $425,000. Which then made me sad because I realized if I had no ethics or moral standards, I could be making so much money off of these people. But um, unfortunately, my mom raised me to be better than that.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, again, like these aren't like domains. Like when Opera added support, they're just like, if you type in an emoji, they'll put the part at the end for it to resolve. And it's so silly. Um, and yeah, again, it's just one of those things where like a companies use, again, it's another example of using like these hype words like Web3 and metaverse and all this stuff to sell like basically nothing. Like when if you
It's a
rip
grift.
apart, it is a grift. And when you push away all the language and just get like to the exact what is functional right now, you are paying money for a link tree page. Like that's all you're doing. Like it's not even a blog. Like it's not we're not doing a blogger or a Tumblr. Right now they literally just have it's a web page. That's it, and you can put links and text in it.
I would actually go a step further and say it's worse because no one is actually going to be able to find it. Realistically, convincing
this is
people to enter a bunch of emoji, and okay, I realize that this is old white man saying, getting a bunch of people to memorize or remember or care about which emoji you have picked for yourself, I feel like that's not going to stick.
No, it's not. Like I can understand it if you have like 3 max. Like if I saw a TV commercial for a new car and they said go to carsun.org to look at our new car, I would probably remember that long enough to type it into my phone. But like there's only like 400-ish emojis, and these strings are like, the cheaper ones are longer. So a lot of these are just like, go to my webpage. It's dog, cat, sun, coffee, bear.com. And these are already a pain in the ass to find on my phone because there's now like 7 million of these on my phone. And they're even more difficult on a desktop. This is just like the least intuitive way of entering a web address. Like we already solved this problem, and it's called adding more top level domains, right? That's why we have like 500 of these now. So we're not all trying to get the same one on .com.
That being said, I am suddenly seeing nothing but potential for Dogfish Head Brewery. That is a real thing. I know not everyone will recognize the name, but they actually have Dogfish Head Brewery. I don't know if they have it yet, but
if you go to their website at YAT, you can play with their thing and figure out how much the string of emojis you want will cost.
And if it's already taken, I assume.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like all the ones that are just like one emoji just say contact us. Again, like the grifty domain services that scour the web for common words and then buy them and then want you to buy their domain from them. And then you keep going. Like I'm gonna put in cry t-shirt. Okay, I can't buy that. Let's do cry t-shirt alien invader. That's $150. So it's kind of I don't know. The worst part of this to me is that like there's enough people falling for this to support like a mid-level tech startup. Like they're hiring like a shitload of engineers right now.
Of course they are. Though that doesn't mean much.
It doesn't, but they
gone in a year.
I hope so, Code. Honestly,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just I again, like I was scrolling through the LinkedIn, and of course it's just them reposting positive news coverage of themselves, which I think that's the only purpose of LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure. And it's just all it's so much money in this, and they kept linking to some like Wall Street Journal article that was like, again, like not really super critical of this at all. Just like, again, like the money I could be making, Cody. Like I didn't think like convincing people to buy strings of emojis was a market that could be tapped, but I was wrong.
Clearly.
I know.
No.
Or at least, or at least the grift will last long enough for me to, save up for like one whole year of retirement or something, But yeah.
I love the built-in fact that it gives you a rhythm score so that they can effectively try to convince you like, oh, hey, you're buying this cheaper set. You obviously are missing some score. You need to get something more expensive.
It is like very like MLM language. Like, don't you want to be a level 100 superstar? You gotta buy more emojis, pal. Yeah, and of course I briefly joined they had a link to like their Discord all over the place. I thought that's how I could maybe get some like firm answers about what's going on here. So I clicked on their Discord link, and like one of the first pages is like warning people about scams, because of course people are already pretending to be this company and like selling emoji something, pretending to be this company.
Of course they are.
Yeah, that, which is like grifting on the grifters, which I can almost get behind that. But yeah, so this is stupid, and again, this is like number 38 for why you should not use Opera. On top of their current ownership being really sketchy, with especially like the whole payday loans they were doing a couple years ago. Just they've been on the crypto train for a while. They're trying to be brave, I guess. And it's, don't use Opera, kids.
Okay, so I don't know for sure that this is really the best combination, but I put together a dog, a dolphin, which is as close as I could find to a fish.
Mm-hmm.
One of the many smiley faces, this one with a smirk, because it is by far the coolest of the smileys, and I threw a beer mug at the end. Got it down to $7 for what I would argue is as close as you could get to that brewery's name. Anyway.
Now buy it and then sell it to them for 5 times as much.
Yes. Because that's how NFTs are supposed to work.
Yeah. Yeah, the grift has to keep going or it will collapse.
Yay, grift economies. But yeah, this is such a dumb thing, and
it's just because like, even if this was like a domain registrar where like you actually owned it and it wasn't just like NFT bullshit, it's still stupid. No one wants to type in a series of emojis to go to your, like, I'm sure that's cute for like 5 minutes if you have like a shorter one, but no.
Yeah, this is just a way to convince people with too much money, or at least enough money and not enough brains to hold on to it. It's a good way to convince them to give up money. Which makes me think, wow, what am I doing wrong that I haven't thought about?
I know.
All the ways that I should be convincing people with money to give me some of it.
No. Yeah. That's totally my thing. It's like, why am I not this depraved? Why didn't I think of it?
Or even better, come up with something that's actually worth selling and sell that.
No, that's harder.
It really is.
It's way easier to cheat these like NFT bros out of $50,000.
Yeah. And the best part is, someone else is going to be out there like, okay, you did that. Now we're just going to buy up like 10 other TLDs, do the exact same thing and sell across all of them. We'll just charge less.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're also probably going to try to run the crypto scams, but so it goes.
Yeah, I'll have to, what I'll have to do is keep an eye on this company, and then I can laugh when they collapse, or cry when Facebook buys them. One of those two things will happen.
Okay, wait. Of all the companies, do you really think it's Facebook? Somehow I feel like it's going to be something out of the blue like Snapchat. Or
yeah,
maybe.
No, I think. Oh yeah, well yeah, you're probably right, because Meta's thing isn't really like buying companies; it's just cloning what they do.
I mean, they bought plenty of companies.
They have,
Instagram,
but now they're like
Oculus.
Yeah, well, they buy companies. They can't really do that anymore. At least to the extent they were before. There's too much regulatory pressure on them now.
Well, it would look bad, but that doesn't stop them.
I mean, I think I don't think like Congress would want to question Mark over buying Yacht, but yeah, like other companies like that, they'd probably ask what an emoji is. That's what my congressman would ask. What are these funny pictures on my phone, Mr. Zuckerberg?
The sad part is, I bet that's a question many of them can't wait to ask. Like, that will be on the list someday.
Why are you destroying monopolies? And also, why does it say my password is wrong? I know this is my password. Why can I not log in?
Dear Mr. Zuckerberg, can you explain to us Bitcoin? What is this? And why,
Mr. Zuckerberg,
why does your site have it?
Yeah.
Why are you running Bitcoin, Mr. Zuckerberg?
No, that's what they'll ask in 20 years. It's going to take them that long to know what that is. In the meantime, they'll ask, like, Mr. Zuckerberg, how do I open this app on my iPhone 5?
I think they already asked him that.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh God.
I was trying to find that LinkedIn post, and I clicked on the My Network tab because it won't shut up, telling me to click on it, and it's telling me people I know from XDA. And so the funny thing with XDA on LinkedIn is that a lot of people put that they work at XDA if they make like a custom ROM.
Oh yeah.
So there's like so many just random people that LinkedIn thinks I work with. It's very funny.
Yeah, and to this day, it has never not bothered me that with LinkedIn, you can claim you worked anywhere. You can literally claim to have been president of the United States, and you know what? LinkedIn would allow it. Actually, I don't know if they'll allow that one, but they don't stop you from claiming anything. You can put anything on, and
now, Cody, Trump did say he wanted to run the country like a company. So I assume that means at some point he made a LinkedIn for the United States of America. Is that there?
That does sound like a thing.
United States of America. There is a company with just the name United States of America, and the picture is an American flag. So this has to be it, right?
I would imagine.
I hovered over the visit website link. It's the Wikipedia article for the United States.
Oh God.
Oh, I can create a job alert for the United States of America, Cody. Is this where the job shortage is coming from? No one's signing up for job alerts for the United States on LinkedIn.
I mean, that could explain a lot. It has what? 87 employees on LinkedIn. Is that the one? Yeah,
I'm scrolling through people.
Geez.
Yeah, some of these are boomers who don't know how things. I did see there's someone here with an avatar of Spider-Man eating a bagel in costume. There's another one of a dog wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, who says they're a presidential candidate at the United States of America. Oh man!
Oh hey, I see a good old David. Damn it, what's his name? From Baywatch.
I've never seen Baywatch. I'm sorry.
He's the actor who's super popular in Germany. How am I not thinking of his last name?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to click on these people to see like how they explain they work at United States of America, but I'm not getting anything.
David Hasselhoff.
Oh, yeah. I know who David Hasselhoff is. He was in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. This person has 15 items on their LinkedIn experience. Okay, yeah. So this person, so this person worked for some agencies, and they just put United States. Cool.
Yep.
This is very weird. Someone is
Oh wow, this is special.
Oh, so someone has president at United States of America as their job title, and it's a Vector from Despicable Me.
I mean, that kind of checks out.
Man, I'm starting to think, is there anything more funny than just shit posting on LinkedIn? That's pretty funny.
I gotta admit, this is making me kind of want to like create some bogus accounts just to
Yeah.
associate with a company. Ah, yeah, there's the I found the one.
Oh no. There's one that
funny.
just says Patriot at United States of America. I think I know who they voted for.
You think? So, seeing as you have oh, hey, here's a US president with a picture of a bird.
Oh, I see that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'd vote for a bird.
I think we have once or twice, but
What's the bird's stance on immigration?
I believe
I
that they
assume
bring good seeds herein.
Well, birds migrate, right,
do.
during the year, so they have to be for, improving immigration. I would vote for the bird. I could get behind this.
I mean, I tend to think the bird's probably going to be all about opening the borders, except to, of course, larger predatory birds.
Yeah, only birds. Yeah, Carson pointed out it's us president, not U.S. president in some of these.
Yes.
Yeah, it's us president.
Okay, so I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you turn this ever so slightly in the wrong direction, because there is the unavoidable news today. Truth Social is now available.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to go into any of the ugly stuff. In fact, I'm against it, but I think it is hilarious that this thing launched, and apparently for the first 13 hours or something, it just was down. Like, it launched, it was up for I think like an hour or something, and then it crashed and just they couldn't get it back up or something. They almost immediately went to waitlisting people to create accounts. So this thing's running on like a server somewhere, and it already got overwhelmed. It is a straight visual clone of Twitter, so they're not even trying to be elegant about this. They're not trying to come up with something new or different. It's just, hey, let's copy somebody else because we can. And yeah, this thing is just turning into a special kind of dumpster fire. So
Yeah, and again, this is like I do want to do a Tech Tales for like all of the grifty right wing social networks, because this has got to be like the 15th at this point.
okay,
And
so we
they're
were
all-
joking about how many episodes you were going to have to split stuff into. You do realize that that's like an ongoing series. You may
that
as well
might
just
be
make that season 12 of Tech Tales.
That might be a series. You're right, but yeah, but like it's the same story every time. Like it's always someone who doesn't know how to run a server, because most people with standards don't work for these companies, or they just cheap out and get the worst labor imaginable. They're always based on Mastodon every time. Like, and they never say they're based on Mastodon. They try to hide it and they try to skin it. I think the only one that was ever open about that was Gab, because Gab was like trying to be just another Mastodon server. Like, you'd be able to talk to people on other Mastodon servers, except all those other servers block Gab immediately because no one wants to talk to people on Gab.
Yeah, so
it's the same thing every single time.
I can't help but look at this, and one thing that amuses me also is that the narrative has become, oh, it's great that there's another one of these, but yet they're all competing with each other. The more of these that get created, the more they're just trying to scavenge from each other's user base, and in turn, none of them will make money, which I'm okay with. That's cheers.
Yeah, I mean, it took Twitter like a decade to become profitable, and they're only doing that because they can sell ads.
Yeah.
But who is buying ads on especially in the next several months, when just like Gab, It's gonna eventually start coming out about like all the crazy, insane shit people say on these networks, which is also why like Gab kept trying to find new hosts because it was being used to organize an entire insurrection and everything else on there. So like, who's gonna advertise on this besides the My Pillow guy? Because he's running out of money. He can't. He won't be able to completely self-support the social network. So that leaves. So they got the My Pillow guy. They might get some like Russian ads, maybe. I don't.
Oh, so you're saying Fox News is going to pay for ad space? Russian ads. Dude, you didn't need to think through that one. That was just a casual. That was just a casual like quick burn.
Yes, I don't really know this. I don't think it's going to last very long, or what's going to happen with the actual legitimate like attempts to make a social network is that it will peter out at about 6 months, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
it's what I kind of feel like this is. I think some of the smaller, even if they're older, but just anything that didn't really make it, I think those are generally going to die off because, shocker, you can't keep something running forever that's costing money and not bringing in enough. And I think most of those users will tend to migrate to whatever is the biggest player. And the question, or rather, not the question, but the goal of everybody who's trying to get into this space is to time it right. So that if they're the one who's the biggest player at a particular moment, when everybody else comes crashing down, they'll be the ones to sweep up all those users and magically they become the winner. I think that's what they're going for. Because that's the only grift strategy here that makes sense. And I'm calling it a grift. Technically, this is not a grift.
No, it's probably a grift.
I mean,
when they need to start making money, it will become a grift.
Well, if you're copying something else so directly that people can almost not tell the difference between two apps, chances are, I mean, you are a grifter. Maybe what you're doing is not technically a grift, but you're behaving as a grifter. So I think that counts.
I'll be curious when Apple lays down the hammer, because they did that for not Gab. There was something besides Gab that people were using to organize the January 6th stuff.
It was the one that had a name just like a dating site. Like if you spelled the name with one letter difference, you got a dating site instead of the social network. Oh, what was it?
Trying to find it. Parler.
Yes,
Parler.
That's it.
Yeah. So, that was pulled way. Wait. No. Okay. Yeah. That was banned after January 6th. And then it came back after they pinky promised there wouldn't be any Nazi content on there, which is.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Is that still in the App Store? I remember they also tried to like pivot to just being a web app.
Yeah, that was going to be their plan for a minute.
Yeah, which I mean, like if I was a grifter and had no moral conscience, that's what I would do, because like this is literally what web apps were designed for, is to not have to play by App Store rules. But I guess the boomers that want to use Truth Social don't know how web works, and they only know that their grandson helped them install Twitter.
Yeah.
So they need some help there.
Strictly speaking, the smart move is build your service, build the API, and tell other developers to make a client for it.
No, that's also what worked out in Gab's favor.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Gab ever had its own app, But once they switched to Mastodon, you could use a lot of Mastodon clients with Gab. Now, what started to happen is that Mastodon app developers started putting in code where if you typed in the domain as Gab, it would not let you do that. And then that happened with my favorite Mastodon app, Tusky. It's an Android Mastodon app, and the dev pretty quickly added that check. I was like, no, you can't put Gab in. don't use my app for Gab. So of course, someone you got blasted for being like for censorship or whatever, and someone made a fork that just removed that bit of code. But but that's that makes it a lot harder on iOS because you can't sideload apps quite as easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would do if I was making a grifty social network. Is that either do something like Mastodon and keep it compatible with Mastodon APIs, or I would make it a web app and add a front end with Tor with it, where like it was like a Tor, because like Tor does this thing where like you can make a Tor web domain that like doesn't have like it's not like a registrar. It's just it goes to wherever you route it to in the Tor network. So that's pretty impervious to whatever you want to do. At that point, your only concern is just having your like servers rated by the FBI, which might be a concern with something like this. Depends on how lax you are on the rules. I don't know if Gab ever had issues with like actual illegal content. I don't recall, but that would be a problem at some point.
My recollection kind of... Oh, man. Okay, so if I recall, I believe Parler definitively... Like, someone hacked in and got, like, private messages on Parler. And as I recall, there was definitively illegal stuff on there. Now, whether or not Parler was responsible for identifying something in private messages, that's a separate discussion. But I believe there was stuff in public, and that did come up. But it's not that necessarily made them, culpable for it. What stands out to me is we're talking about a social network here that its owner operator is very possibly guilty, or at least involved in a very illegal incident in the past. I'm saying possibly. I'm not getting into that. I'm hedging for reasons. If anyone disagrees with this, fine. But I'm saying there's nothing conclusive. That's why I'm hedging. Anyway, being that is the case, if by chance it is all true that he was involved or supports it, and if it were to also be true that maybe such a directive were to be handed down to the what's it called, the TMTG, the Trump Media and Technology Group, which, okay, whatever, that's a name. If by some chance that is a thing, they could very possibly be intentionally and willingly going out of their way to protect those which would be involved in such a thing. If that happens, hoo boy. That's all I can say. Hoo boy. That would be a really, really risky play. Yeah. And also something that you gotta figure the FBI is gonna be watching like hawks.
Yeah, if they're doing their job correctly. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't do their job correctly. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the life cycle with all of these alt-right networks. Is like they start out as like we're gonna let you say anything you want, buddy. We're not gonna censor you, and then it eventually gets to the point where like the stuff being shared is like actually illegal, or terrible enough where like their hosts start dropping them after they realize what's going on. Like, do you have child porn on my web server right now? Is that what's happening? Like that's like Hover or whoever. and then they go through the cycles of like changing servers and eventually telling people like, hey, you can't actually do what you want, and then the audience, who of course like they only have, because of their like rabid need for no censorship at all, is like, oh, you're just like Twitter now, and then they leave. So that's what happens every single time. So I'm sure that'll happen here. It might take a little bit longer, but that'll probably happen too.
Oh yeah.
Because like you can't. There's stuff you cannot post online, like that you can get away with like hate speech probably with a lot of like hosting services and courts, but once it always gets into stuff that's like actually illegal.
Facebook's community manager, but in real life.
Yeah, he's on there.
But yeah, this strikes me as something that is going to ultimately be a huge letdown to most people, possibly an avenue for stuff that's going to get the media group, we'll just call it that, possibly something that would get them in trouble. And in general, this is going to be, honestly, what I'm really waiting to see is how long before it has a big giant red donate button. I feel like that's where this is headed.
Oh, absolutely, because that's Trump's entire thing now.
Yeah.
Like every time someone posts a screenshot of one of his like, because he has these mailing lists from when he was running for office that kind of got merged into like whatever he's doing now, just being a grifter. Well, he's always been a grifter,
yeah.
but more so now. And they always have just like absolutely massive donate buttons, and the title, the header of the email is always like the email equivalent of clickbait, right? It's like, we need your help to save America now, and then it's got the PayPal button. So I'm sure that, because like again, we also have to acknowledge the life cycle of a tech startup.
Yep.
As well. So they're burning money now, with the assumption that they'll be able to make money later.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens when they actually need to make money. I have a feeling it's going to be difficult. Unless Trump wants to keep pouring his money into this.
I'd be surprised if any of this is his money.
Yeah, I would almost put some of my money in your bet. Because he did run for president 2 times, using as little of his own money as possible. So,
well, technically, he used his own money and then paid himself back with profit.
Yes.
So, that's
correct.
Yeah. But yeah,
he's gonna sign up every Secret Service agent with an account for this website.
Oh God. Well, hey, that wouldn't be any worse than some of the other companies out there. But yeah, I am looking forward to the ball dropping on this. I think it's going to be hilarious. It's probably going to be terrible at the same time, but it's going to be hilarious. So that's something.
Yeah. It's a standard life cycle. I'm kind of not so amused when it fails anymore, but if this leads to another like Parler type thing where we get like actual terrorist information leaked out, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, I have a feeling there will be a lot of that. Yeah. And
hopefully, fingers crossed.
All things considered, here's okay. Do you think that they paid for good security? I mean, really, you gotta figure.
I would say, just because,
if you're about to say that Mastodon is that rock solid.
No, I think well, I know Mastodon has okay security on its own. I know probably a lot of that is just security through obscurity.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't huge targets right now. But I would assume this has a little bit more thought put into it than like Parler. Just a little bit. I don't think they have like a rock solid infrastructure.
Okay.
Or anything like that.
I'm going to agree, but only because I think the more thought that they have put into it is specifically that they saw what happened to Parler And they very directly targeted those exact issues to solve. So they probably cleaned up whatever the specific loopholes were in Parler.
Right.
They probably picked out like a couple of other little things that Parler admitted were problems, and that's it. I bet nothing else has been improved.
They turned off the root account on their Raspberry Pi. That's what they did. They did that, and but they still left SSH on the default port though. So they'll figure that out later. But yeah. I do kind of want to sign up and just dig around in the code a little bit to see what they left straight from Mastodon. But I also don't want my email in that server. So.
I mean, you could just sign up with some garbage Yahoo address.
That's true. Yeah, or I could use my or I could make another Proton Mail account or something.
Though you'd have to wait through the 300,000 plus queue of people who are waiting to sign up, so you might not get in for weeks or months.
Yeah, very, very sad. I did go to their website and put the /WP admin just to see if it was WordPress. I did get a 404, so I guess they're not using WordPress, but that would have been really funny.
Probably like GitHub statically hosted or something.
I'm sure it's I'm sure the home page is like Wix. I'm sure that's what.
Oh yeah, that would do it.
Yeah.
Oh god, use an AP email address.
Gonna use Corbin at AndroidPolice.com.
I'm assuming you don't have access to that anymore, so that probably wouldn't work so well. But it would be kind of funny.
It would be very funny if actually when it got rid for me, if someone just set up a redirect to send it to whoever's in charge email. There's someone else at Android Police gets an email. It's like, you signed up for Truth Social.
Oh jeez. Oh god. I want to make jokes, but I know I shouldn't. So
yeah.
But yeah.
It's also very funny to me that they made an iOS app before an Android app. Yeah, I didn't actually look at that.
I just saw there was an app in the Apple App Store. I didn't notice whether or not it mentioned anything about Android.
There's no Android app yet. I guess they hadn't chose what the best Mastodon app to fork was yet.
Probably.
They still got to think about that, but.
Well, and that further convinces me that they don't actually have money in this. I think they are probably
just like Clubhouse. Yeah.
Well, I think they're probably paying for just enough people to go through and work on Mastodon on the server side and reskin it so that so it matches whatever. So they probably hired one designer, one developer. Well, one developer / whatever.
Right.
And then they probably hired
Ted the intern.
Yeah. And then they probably hired one more developer to work on the iOS side. And they could have hired an Android developer, but they may have just decided, you know what, we don't need that right now. Let's just do the Apple thing. So, this whole thing could really be just a designer, 1 to 2 developers, and that's it. That would probably fit this so well. So I can't shake the feeling that this is being done on the cheap, because they're doing everything they can to clone Twitter. I mean, it's not like they're trying that hard to be special.
Yeah, again, I don't really get why they need to have an app at all, because I take that back. I just remembered Apple doesn't support push notifications on the web still. So, okay, I guess that might be important if you wanted to make a social network. That was just a web app, but it's very silly.
Oh, good Lord. I just looked up images of what Truth Social's interface looks like. Wow, is that a copy of Twitter?
Yeah, I haven't. I did see that. I did look at the App Store page. I have not looked at the iOS Mastodon apps to try to eyeball which one they forked. But I'm sure it's one of those.
Wait, they even using the same icons? I guess if this is an iOS app, I wouldn't be able to necessarily tell for sure, but I think these are some of the same icons that Twitter uses. That would be... I mean, I don't think Twitter's going to start hitting them with takedowns over their icons, but... I mean... Oh, come on. Where's somebody that... Yeah, I don't follow you. Okay, I guess the follow button is different. That gear icon's different. Okay, it's not exact clone of the icons, but all the layout, all of the... Oh, wow, they actually screwed up some padding. But oh well, that's whatever. But man, there is some real obvious cloning going on here. It is so similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how long it takes to collapse. Speaking of collapsing, I'm ready to collapse. I'm gonna go. I do also want to mention real quick before I go is I'm gonna do my required shilling for my podcast. Put the link in. I finally made a website for Tech Tales. It is just the links to Tech Tales on everything else right now. But it is a website. It has a domain. Please listen. That's all.
Wow, that's almost Linktree level web.
It is.
Web
it is. I made this
there.
in an hour. Yeah.
An hour, huh?
I made this in yes.
Okay.
Bootstrap doesn't like me.
No, I believe me. I need to go back through and redo a lot of web stuff, my own web stuff. But
yeah, I would like to make this a cool thing, like basically like our re-implementation of SoundCloud in this, where like there's like a little player and you can choose an episode to listen to in line. That'd be cool. But I think I might have to do like some wizardry for that because I think SoundCloud's RSS, last I checked, has that CORS header that doesn't let other web apps get it. So I'd have to have like a proxy or some other caching thing to get my own podcast data. But yeah, I'll do that eventually. But yeah, no, it's just buttons right now.
Well, that works. I know that this is unnecessarily nitpicky, but some part of me feels like something bothers me about Pocket Casts and YouTube having the same button color and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts having the same color.
Yeah, I might go and find the actual hex values later for their logos. And yeah, like I'm using the Bootstrap icon set, which surprisingly doesn't have the Pocket Cast logo. I can't believe it. So I'm using like, I think that's like a dartboard.
Truthfully, so. I'm impressed that it gets as close as it does.
Yeah, it's just, it's the Pocket Cast logo, but without like a bite taken out of it.
Well, but I mean, in addition, like it has all the others. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if that's actually the Amazon Music thing or just a
that note. Is not.
That
is not. But their logo is just Amazon Music like text, and then like the Amazon smiley. So it's
got it.
It's close enough. And yeah, they just have a normal Google logo. That's not the SoundCloud logo. It's just a cloud. But SoundCloud's logo is a cloud.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that one too, but I had a feeling that almost could be real.
Yeah. No, it's just their cloud icon. They didn't have SoundCloud. They did have YouTube though, and the Apple logo, and Google and Spotify.
Well, I didn't think there was an accident where the YouTube logo just happened to be perfect.
It's in Unicode. That's the next stage of like Google making its own top level domains is companies putting their logos in the Unicode set.
I mean, if any logo needed to be in Unicode, let's be honest, it probably actually should be YouTube.
Yeah.
Or just like You know, maybe not the Unicode set, but at least emoji. Like just corporate emoji that can be universal or universally available. Every company just agrees, yep, we're gonna have it. Oh, how funny would that be? Okay. Here's a thought for just the stupidest thing, but it'd be great. And because emoji, the whole deal is each company comes up with its own version of the emoji. Imagine for a second if like Google comes up with all their emoji and Apple gets it and they're like, you know what? We're just gonna do these in all the wrong colors. Or
they're gonna pull a Samsung.
Yeah, or they'll make like the Google logo the wrong font or something. Yeah. Just any little petty thing that they can do.
That is probably why this hasn't happened yet.
Because very much could be.
Like the same reason like Google will is not besides whatever's happened with Android 13. I don't know what the story is there, but like why there's no like custom icon pack support in normal Android or iOS.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, no. You don't need to change other apps icons. That's fine.
Yeah.
Except OnePlus. That's like the one thing in Oxygen OS I like is that they have like system level support for icon packs. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is. To this day, I gotta say, honestly, like the thing that drives me nuts recently about those themed icons in Material U, they're the ugliest effing icons. Like seriously, could you have come up with uglier looking line drawn icons? They are a travesty. They're so ugly. So I wrote a post about this last week or whatever when 13 came out, or a few days after 13 came out in this particular post case, and somebody asked in comments if I would leave them on or something like that, and it's like, no, they're not a chance. Mostly because they will never match all the icons for all the other apps, because that's the thing, it doesn't automatically convert icons. But seriously, they're just ugly. So yeah, Material U is progressively turning into the thing that is just it can't help itself but be ugly.
Yeah, I haven't played too much with Material U stuff yet. I think I'm getting the custom colors when I change my wallpaper, but I'm not seeing any of the icon stuff. I guess Samsung decided not to go for that or whatever. But
well, I think it's brand new to the 13 developer preview, so yeah, that wouldn't be a thing on Samsung's stuff yet. At least I don't think so. Though I believe it's probably going to be just later.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I
was checking my phone for material stuff, and I again get another email from a company that wants to hire me for something that I'm very clearly cannot do. They look for 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Again, please read. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go now.
All right, man. Well, good having you by. Take it easy.
Goodbye.
Don't do anything too crazy, I guess.
Okay. I won't sign up for Truth Social. Okay.
Yeah, that. All right. Anyway, so closing that window. Closing that Tech Tales window real quick. Where else? There's our window capture. So, anyway, what else do we have for topics? I saw the OnlyFans story. I didn't actually get around to reading this. I saw that it was in our list of things to cover, and part of me just couldn't help but think that this was a weird thing to have. But let's dig into this real quick. So, a lawsuit filed in Florida alleges a conspiracy to torpedo traffic to rival FanCentro. I'll say already, what the hell is FanCentro? I mean, I'm assuming it is a direct OnlyFans rival, but I have never heard of it. So, already that's a thing. But let's see. So, they've been successful. they said they were going to drop explicit content, and they have rethought that decision. While attempting to get rid of adult content, certainly made it seem like OnlyFans was ready for a big change. A lawsuit filed in Florida says that before it considered rebranding with a lot less skin, the company was up to some shady business to protect its place in the market, including putting content from some performers on a terrorism blacklist. Okay. This is not where I thought this was going to go. The lawsuit was uncovered by the BBC, and the allegations paint a portrait of a company playing serious hardball. How hard? Competing platform FanCentro claims that OnlyFans was paying a still unidentified social media company to get content from some creators flagged in the global internet forum to counter terrorism. The GIFCT was founded by Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube with a mission of making it difficult for terrorists and extremists to use digital platforms. The organization does this by fingerprinting media identified as having terrorist associations. The founding companies and Snapchat share access to a database of that flagged content, making it easier for everyone to limit access to all kinds of extremism. This is sounding... that part makes sense, okay. FanCentro claims that in finding a way to manipulate this database, OnlyFans was able to get some creators' posts taken down unjustly and disable their user accounts, even though no terrorism-related content was actually involved. The suit says this happened on Instagram more than any other platform, and the effort ultimately succeeded at slowing down traffic to competitors. Tellingly, creators who linked to and promoted an OnlyFans profile didn't run into similar problems. Wow. All that would be shady enough, but the suit alleges OnlyFans reps bribed some employees of the unidentified company to put the plan in place. The BBC notes that Facebook wasn't specifically mentioned in the lawsuit, but shares that Meta has received a subpoena looking for internal docs related to the case. FanCentro is requesting compensation for reduced traffic and money lost due to flagged posts. OnlyFans and Meta both told the BBC that there is no merit to the allegations. Holy crap. That is ballsy. Now, I don't know if there are possible... well, I'm sure there are legal repercussions to this, but I don't know how far it can go. But this strikes me as one of those things that it's a real short trip from, hey, we're going to flag people as terrorists, to, hey, maybe whoever's responsible for this needs to be shut down. Because they're like, this is not just screwing with your competitor. This is actually, I believe, legally speaking, this is slander. Because it may not technically be an entirely public database, which I guess probably might be the requirement for slander, but I don't think it is. But it is very directly harmful to them, in a pretty indisputable way. So, man, that is nuts. Also, how many people do you think are just like throwing them under the bus now based on just like bad traffic? Anyone who got a serious dip in traffic has to be just standing up saying, whoa, hey, we got hit by this too, right? You know, we lost money because of this, even if just their content started going downhill anyway. Or anybody that got banned. Don't get me wrong, a small part of me is like, hey, can I get in on this? My Twitch account got banned. Can I accuse them of something? Yeah. Oh man. OnlyFans is not having a good year for news. I feel like they don't have too much longer before their user base has to be looking for ways to start like abandoning them at record pace. And they should be, because this is the kind of stuff you don't pull this stuff. What on earth were they thinking? Oh boy. So yeah, anyway, it doesn't seem like it needs to be said. Don't call people terrorists if they're not terrorists. If they're just making porn, they're probably not terrorists. Actually, I would argue, in all likelihood, these two groups are in direct opposition to each other. So someone knocks on your door, accuses you, or like police show up at your door, SWAT team. Well, hey, are you a terrorist? And the person's like, no, I make porn. The SWAT team's like, oh, never mind, you're cool. Hurry up, get undressed. Camera's right there. Do your job. But come on, this is such a crappy move. Okay, so anyway, I don't have much more to say on that. I don't think there's too much interesting there. Switching to other company drama though, kind of hard not to hit this one. And this came not too long after the last stream. So I don't have much to say here either, but I just think it's funny. Apple's retail employees reportedly using Android phones and encrypted chats to keep unionization plans secret. I don't have a lot to say on here, and for anyone who hasn't heard this, I mean, the title really just says it all right there. Apple stores have a bunch of employees who are trying to unionize. Basically, a bunch of people bought Android phones, or they were using iPhones with apps that support secure chat. And in essence, it's because they don't trust that Apple isn't spying on them. First thing that stands out to me is, holy crap, they think Apple is that big of a spy that they might be watching your text chat on phones that belong to you. That's already a big red flag that Apple employees think this. Who does not look at that and think, wow, they're that scared of their employer? To me, that is a concerning thing when they are that afraid of their employer. Second, I just think it's funny that their strategy is just like straight up, you know what? Let's just go get Android phones. Come on. That's kind of hilarious. And it now possibly makes Apple Store employees the largest number of Android phone owners in all of Apple's employment. Because I know that they're pretty determined to keep all of their developers and executives running iPhones. So one would assume that the store employees were already the largest exception, but I would have imagined pretty much all of them were iPhone owners anyway. Now I'm kind of thinking a pretty solid number of them might have switched over. So, kind of interesting. So again, I don't think there's a whole lot more to this story, and I'm going to be flying through topics now because it's easy. But yeah. So this is just one of those stories. On its surface, it's a great little wow. Apple has a problem with their employees switching sides, but I do think there is actually something concerning about the fact that Apple Store employees are that concerned about being spied on, because that really means they actually believe it's happening. So yeah, anyway, switching to a couple of other Galaxy S, well, we'll just say Samsung phones. I mean, they're all Galaxy phones, but two things. I'll start with the good one. I covered this a couple of days ago. And normally I wouldn't say there's a lot to this story, but I do have a little bit of an opinion on it, which I did include in the writing on this, but take it for what you will. So Samsung has now, through its forums, announced that the Expert RAW camera app is going to be, or they've given dates for and confirmed it's going to be coming out to several phones other than just the S21 Ultra and S22 family. So this is going to be hitting the, of course, the entirety of the S22s. It's staying with the S21 Ultra, which they say it's coming in early March. What I assume that means is there's an update to it coming in early March, because that phone already has the app. So yeah, I don't know. Other than an update, I'm not sure what that would really mean. It's also going to be coming to the Z Fold 2 and 3, the S20 Ultra, and the Note 20 Ultra. And those are the only phones that are supposed to be getting this. There are technical requirements, apparently, specifically that it has to have an Exynos 990 or a Snapdragon 865 SoC or newer. It has to have 8 gigabytes of RAM or more, which I believe, like, any flagship Samsung phone, I think, already has that. So that setting that as a low bar almost doesn't need to be said, but okay. And it has to have a telephoto lens that of 2x optical zoom or higher, and that lens must support Bayer RAW. So very specific requirements there, but because of that 2x or higher, that cut out some of the other S21 and Note 20 and S20 family. Okay, all of that said, this story isn't that spectacular or special. It's neat, like, cheers to them. But there's one thing I kind of picked up on that I thought was a really neat touch. And I put it in this line. This rollout schedule aims to wrap up by the end of June, if not earlier. Some phones on this list are closing in on 2 years of age, if not older, by the time the app reaches them. And I gotta say, that I think is actually kind of significant, because of this list, I think it's these 3 phones here are all either, they're going to be 2 years old or older by the end of this year. Sorry, and when I say this list, if you're not watching the stream, I just selected the S20 Ultra, Z Fold 2, and the Note 20 Ultra. Those are all released basically 2 years ago, or it'll be 2 years somewhere by the end of this year. What stands out to me is most phones, I mean, they might get small software features. They usually don't get relatively significant software features. And so I kind of think, good credit to Samsung for this. It may not be something important to a lot of people, but if you care about the specific features of this app, and you want to get the most out of your camera in what is now going to be a 2-year-old phone, and you haven't upgraded, then this is a pretty good feature addition. They're now actually giving users of these phones objectively more life with interesting features, or bringing new features. Most companies, like, obviously Google does feature drops, which are basically just software additions for all of their phones. That's good. But it doesn't feel like adding new features typically. It's just doing these software updates that every phone should be getting anyway. Anyway, point is, this feels like they're going a little above and beyond. So cheers to Samsung for that. That's neat. I'm also going to hit the other big S22 story. Let me preface this by saying I don't care. I think people that are getting caught up on this one are just, they're missing the story. So the short version, the phones are supposed to support 45-watt charging. Turns out they don't. Apparently they are they're charging at, I thought it was somewhere roughly around the 30s. Is that mentioned? Maybe not. Okay. So yeah, anyway, they're probably not, apparently they're not charging all that much faster than what you'd get with a 25-watt adapter. So for me personally, and I admit this is me personally, I don't care that much, because when I charge my phone 99 times out of 100, I'm plugging it in. I'm gonna plug it in while I'm sleeping. I don't care. I can live with the fact that it's not fast charging that much. I generally look at this and I also think, yeah, that's, you know, that is a problem for another very big, very obvious reason, which is they're selling it. I mean, they are selling this phone, and they're selling it like they're selling a 45-watt charger separately. You pay for a 45-watt charger, or you can pay for a 45-watt charger that is not actually going to do anything different, and that feels shady. It may be an accident, it may be unintentional, but it is effectively turning into a false advertising situation. It's not a bait and switch, but it feels like that, because basically they're saying, hey, you want fast charging? You can get it by buying the separate charger. Oh, by the way, that the phone doesn't actually allow fast charging, but hey, you still got a fast charger that doesn't do what you expected. But hey, we didn't lie to you about anything, except we kind of did, but only sort of. So you'll forgive us. Anyway, yeah, I don't love that. I feel like that's a problem, and it's something that Samsung probably needs to rectify in a better way. That being said, 45 watts charging, I mean, okay. It's not like it was going to do a consistent 45 watt anyway, so I don't think that's the biggest issue. It's just a problem. It's a problem for image, plain and simple. This is going to turn into kind of an image problem for them, and we'll see what happens in the future. But it is what it is. Let's see. The only other topic I had lined up, so on that point, if anyone has any other topics they want to throw into this list, feel free to mention it. But I will quickly address the other big leak, kind of the week. Actually, was this even a leak? I don't think it was. Where did this come from? So when Future covered this, was this an announcement and just nobody cared enough? Anyway, okay, I don't know. Anyway, so the story is Snapdragon Wear 5100 chips are coming. So congratulations to those of you who were betting against that. You lost, I guess, or you won. It depends on your perspective. But yeah, anyway, there's not a lot to be said here. The basic story is exactly what everyone would expect the basic story to be. They're going to be new chips. They're going to be faster and more efficient or something. And I say or something because, let's be honest, whatever Qualcomm says about these chips, take it with a grain of salt. They have made promises in the past that did not pan out. They will make promises again that will not pan out. So I'm holding no particular expectations here. They talked up a little bit about how they're going to be made. Okay, this must have been an official statement of some kind. Anyway, so and I'll give Corbin credit on pointing this out. Basically, the interesting thing here is only that they confirmed it was happening. So there's that. They confirmed there will be new chips. So we knew that was going to happen. This is just the proof. The proof it is. So that's good, but it's also pretty not exceptional. Yeah, that's about all I feel compelled to say about it. I just heard weird outside sounds. Anyway, so yeah, just so little to say there. Let's see. While I wait, if there are any other topics on the way in, I will quickly talk about what I've been messing with this week. So I've actually done a ton of cleaning in my office. If you were to see it, you wouldn't believe me, but that's not important. I have cleared off some space on the desk. I've cleared off some of the leftover stuff that was not properly organized. Oh yeah, stating new pro games too. We could dig into those in a moment. Wait, did that just happen today? Well, just pop that open and see if that's a news thing. Oh, you already have. Of course you would link to them. Anyway. Oh, hey, a Darksiders game. That might be worth poking into. So anyway, covering The Office. Let's see. So it's not a lot of change, but I've rigged it up so I can kind of actually have a decent-ish, barely decent-ish looking space, I think. I haven't done a test recording yet, but I think I kind of have a space that almost looks okay for doing YouTube videos. It won't cover a lot of scenarios very well, but it is something I'm working on, so I do need to have the indoor space for shooting stuff. As it is, I barely have outdoor space, so anything would help. Right now, my biggest problem is lighting this room, as it turns out is a lot harder than I thought. Mostly because I don't have the strongest lights. So I'm going instead with a fairly dark looking setup, and that has its own drawbacks and advantages, but anyway, so I don't have stuff set up for it right now because the streaming organization that I have is completely opposite. So I need to do a few things to keep that, or I need to move things around each time between sets. But what I intend to do, I don't know how long this is going to take, I fully admit that, but what I intend to do at some point is I've got a space in another room that, if I can, I want to clear it out, and that's a pretty big undertaking, but I want to clear it out and basically gut that whole space so that I can put in better lighting and basically rig it up so that I can do YouTube videos in there. That would likely become the new space for streaming, so on and so forth. You get the idea. I don't think there's a whole lot to explain about that, but anyway, and if I actually succeed in doing all of that, which that is a multi-month process, I will just say that there's a lot of stuff left over from a move that just kind of became stacked boxes and such. So yeah, bit of a problem, but yeah, if I can clear out that space and turn it into a nice recording spot, that will become a real YouTube location, I hope, I think. And yeah, so working on that. What else? Trying to think of what else. Looking at various things to figure out if I'm forgetting something. I don't think so. Also, I haven't quite decided how this is gonna go, but I think I have my first 2 YouTube videos planned. One will probably not be super interesting to anyone. The other will be minimally interesting to some people, but I want to get a couple of videos on the channel before I start rolling out the thing I actually think a lot of people would be really interested in. So there will probably be a bit of a sporadic rollout of videos first, and then as the weather is getting nicer, it will be perfect for something I have planned that I have wanted to do for 3 years, 4 years. I don't know. I've wanted to do it for a very long time, and I kept putting it off, but it is time. So, yeah, I have something planned. It will not be one video. It's going to be a lot of videos in batches. But yeah, I have some stuff planned that I think some people will probably find very entertaining, if not actually just informative, interesting, whatever. We'll see. Okay, so switching to Stadia Pro games. What are the additions? Switching scene. Okay. Kind of line that up. Let's see. So 5 games coming in on March 1st. They'll be adding Adam Wolf, which is direct to Stadia Pro. I'm expecting that is what? Probably not the highest. Yeah, I don't know what type of game that's going to be, but that looks kind of like, it almost looks like kind of one of those click around adventures. I'm assuming that's not what it is, but yeah, anyway. So they're also going to have Dawn of the Monsters, Race with Ryan, Road Trip Deluxe Edition, Darksiders Genesis, and Darkwood. I'm really not familiar with any of these outside of knowing of the Darksiders franchise. I don't really know anything about it, but I do know that's a thing. Wow, Darkwood is survival horror. Interesting. So who wants to watch streams of me playing horror games? Like actual horror, because I know Control is supposed to be kind of horror, but that's horror in a way that, like, come on, Fall Guys is almost as much horror as Control. So we'll see. You think Assassin's Creed Valhalla free play weekend is coming? I'll check it out if that happens. I don't remember what the free play last weekend was, but yeah, I wasn't gonna do it. A lot of the free plays don't super interest me. I'll grant Assassin's Creed usually does. Their games are well made. I'm not always interested in their games. But yeah, I'd be down to check out Valhalla. Let's see. Okay, so Darksiders Genesis is a hack and slash RPG. I kind of knew that. Darkwood is horror thriller, pins you against a myriad of dark surprises in an eerie Eastern European forest. Well, of course it is. Where else do you get super creepy stuff than Eastern Europe? I swear, Eastern Europe gets such a bad rap. Like, I wonder if they look at this, like people in Eastern Europe, and they're like, come on, guys, we're not all like werewolves and vampires. Just because there was like a few really creepy dudes who happened to be pretty powerful back in the Dark Ages, should we really have to always have this reputation of being the crazy, creepy place? I mean, hey, organ theft, it only happens sometimes. 9 to 5 just pastes a whole big blurb no one's gonna read. Well, yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Definitely no one's reading that. It is funny because when you actually look at this, the amount of words that they wrote, almost none. It is almost entirely quotes. In case it's not obvious, anything with this line to the left side of the text, that's all direct quotes. So yeah, they have, I don't know, 9 sentences maybe, which, hey, that's fine. It's not like anybody cares to read any of the other details. Frankly, if they had just put a bulleted list of what's new, that would have been, everyone would have actually been the happiest at that. Just put in a bulleted list of which games are new and you're done. We've actually suggested many times, we've had joke conversations about doing that at AP. Just like give a title that says a thing, and then as soon as people load, all it is just like 5 words saying such and such thing happened, or, you know, a list of the things, or literally in some cases just a link to the thing you need to click on. Like literally come to our site, let our ads display, and click the link to leave for wherever you need to go. Like, we have joked about this a lot. Which, say what you will about that, I honestly think readers would love it. The only thing is it's terrible for SEO. Search engines do not like articles that are unbelievably short. They assume that is a bad thing. But yeah, even back in the day when I was working on teardowns, one of the things I wanted to do, I didn't really have time for it, and I was basically told not to do it at one point, but I started messing with doing these like bullet point summaries, the same sort of thing that you see on certain news websites. I think, I want to say TechCrunch does it. Let's see, I'm quickly loading. Okay, TechCrunch doesn't, oh wait, that's an old article. How about load up something new? Okay, they evidently don't do it. How about maybe New York Times might do it? Let's see. Oh, that's not the right type of post. May as well share screen as I'm doing this. Sure, let's try. Oh, not a live story. We don't want live stories. How about this one? Nope. I guess they aren't doing that either. Somebody does it. I don't remember who. There are definitely a few sites that do this. Anyway, for some reason I want to go check Engadget. I think maybe they're one of them that does it. But yeah, I started doing that kind of thing, and it only lasted for like a week or two. But I think it was a good idea. I like the idea of making it so people can just skim the stuff. They don't have to read your whole 300, 800, 2,000 word screed on all of the things that you want to say. Just give people the highlights, accurate, quick, concise. Don't make them read the rest. I like that idea. But hey, it is what it is. We can't change the world if the world refuses to be changed. Okay, so let's see. Again, open to title suggestion, or not title suggestions, topic suggestions if there are any others. Let's see, and a quick glance, just to see if The Verge has anything particularly interesting popping up. So Twitter accounts from the Ukraine are being suspended. That's possibly a bleak story. We're not going to go inside Pornhub. Meta prototype lets you build virtual worlds by describing them. Please no. Somehow, I'm just gonna say, this feels cringy. Just saying. Ja Rule, don't be that guy. But yeah, anyway. Okay, even as I skim through this, it's like, wow, today has been so boring. That's what I think is kind of killing me about the last couple of weeks. News-wise, they have been so boring. Just nothing is happening. But it is what it is, I guess. Let's see. Nothing else has been suggested in the chat rooms, so getting pretty close to. Well, it is also 5:30. Getting pretty close to just calling it for the day. Because I am trying to think of anything else to talk about, and there honestly just really isn't much. Let's see. Tonight, hopefully, I'll figure out for sure and finally if I'm going to pre-order. And saying pre-order at this point sounds dumb, but if I'm going to pre-order the S22 Ultra or regular, I'll get that figured out tonight. Or I hope so. Because I've got, what, 2 more days, I think? Or 1 more day? Whatever. I don't have a whole lot longer to get that worked out, so I need to figure it out. And I do want to get it because it will factor in a little bit on some of the stuff I actually want to do with a couple of projects. So we'll see. Let's see. Oh geez. I just saw this thing right here. Google Chat to fully replace Classic Hangouts for workspace users from March. This is the end of a multi-year transition. No, it isn't. It actually isn't. That is not the end of it. Verge, or more specifically John Porter, you said the wrong thing here. It is not the end of it. First off, it doesn't actually finish up the situation for regular people. This is something that solves the workspace people. It is also not the end of it because they are actually leaving Hangouts up. It is still operational. It's just they're taking it away from some interfaces. There's some ways that you can no longer access it, but Hangouts is still operating after this change. So honestly, the reason I didn't write about this is because the more I looked at it, the more I thought, wow, it's just going to be a very nitpicky article that says they changed a default and removed it from 2 places. That's all that actually happened. So eye roll. Kind of actually a little annoyed by that. Okay. Anyway, not much else to say, I think. Yeah, even the Verge's home or cover page is kind of dull at this stage. So, let's see. Again, I'm gonna say last call. Any topics? Feel free to spit them out. Otherwise, we'll probably be wrapping this in the next couple of minutes. As I say that, let's see. Oh, I never moved those videos over. That's a shame. I have a crazy sunset video. Oh, the cross-platform parties in Fall Guys. I need Windows. But why is this? I'm actually confused. Why is this special? Okay, so Ultimate Knockout significantly expanded its crossplay functionality between PlayStation and PC. As part of the game's Season 6 mid-season update, you can now make cross-platform parties in any of the applicable playlists in Fall Guys, from squads to duos to main show and beyond. To party up with your friends. Okay, so I take this to mean... Yeah, I actually miss Fall Guys too. I'd like to get this going again, but... Man, why won't they just launch it for Mac? This is it's such a low bar. Just launch it for Mac. Epic, what the hell are you doing that you can't figure out this one basic thing? It's a compiler setting. But anyway, come on, like, Epic is an epic fail on this one. But okay, anyway, enough of that. So the thing that stands out to me about this is I guess there probably are a lot of people who are doing parties. I never really had much of a need for this. So to me it doesn't stand out as that interesting, but I guess it is a thing. Boot Camp the Old Mac. That's a possibility, but I don't really want to do boot camp if I don't have to. Moreover, I'm actually kind of aiming in the not terribly distant future. I really want to try to retire. When I say retire, I mean probably sell off the old Mac. So I have one that I need to send into Apple for repair and then sell it off. And then I have the current newer but still old Mac that I want to once I can realistically do it, I want to get that one also retired and sold off. Sadly, this is a much longer process than it seems like it should be, but I think I'm not totally certain yet, but I think I actually now have enough stuff working that I can on Apple Silicon. I think I have enough stuff working that I could move to that 100%. I'm not currently using OBS on there, not because I can't. This has now been tested. I can use OBS on the new one. It now performs well, or well enough. It's not optimized, but it works well enough. And what I still need to do, or what I need to do with that, is just move over profiles, get everything configured. It's a chore, but once I get that done, yay. It'll be a couple steps closer to where it needs to be. But if I can get everything moved over, then the next step will be clean off the old Mac and sell it off, because I don't really have a huge reason to keep it after that. Because needless to say, Boot Camp to run Windows games, probably not the best use of it. And as it's a decent computer, it certainly performs well enough, but it's not exactly a gamer-centric video card in there. So if I was going to do anything, I would probably start looking at, well, I want the money so I can pay off a couple of things and get into a more stable position financially. But what I also want to do at some point would be, or if I'm going to do games, I'd rather just build a decent gaming computer, because there would be other things that I could also take advantage of. Plus, it would be good for video conversion, rendering, stuff like that. Things that I certainly can do on the Mac, on the Apple Silicon Mac, but, you know, if at all possible, be kind of nice to not abuse it if I don't have to. You get the idea. That being said, oh hey, amazingly, interesting. Okay. So yeah, that's stuff. Anyway, cheers to Fall Guys. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot to say on there just because I never really tried to play Fall Guys with other people, even when I was playing it. Not that I'm opposed to it, I just don't really have too many people to play with. Like, I've never set up games with people. Or rather, I don't know a whole lot of people that play. But hey, it is what it is. Okay, what's this? Sony reveals PlayStation VR 2's design. Okay, this doesn't actually feel like it's that. With the VR 1, did the VR 1 have wands? I actually need to look that up. Oh, damn it. My keyboard batteries died. Okay, really quick. Let's see. Do I have... Hold on. Just looking for something I can use to unscrew the keyboard. Where the hell did that key go? Huh. This could actually be a problem. Oh, wait. Ah. The edge of or the prong from a phone charger. That's what we're using. I have these rechargeable batteries for my, or I've had these rechargeable batteries for like way too long, and they've served me surprisingly well, but there are some of them, if not many of them, that are reaching the point where they just do not hold a charge for very long at all, which kind of sucks, but there's just one more thing I need to replace. Okay. Alright, so PSVR. Images of the original. Yeah, okay, the original had the wands. Huh. Okay. That's interesting. I swear every time I ever saw anyone using the PSVR, it was always... They weren't even using wands. They just had a controller and they were using the headset just to see. But I guess they did actually do stuff with the wands quite a bit. Okay. So... VR2... What's interesting here? Same color scheme. Color is surprised. Let's see. Same broad design as the original. The new model brings new enhancements, including lens adjustment dial, a new vent design, and a slight reduction in weight. Yeah, all stuff you kind of should have. Now, if only they had ever done that with Daydream. Any of that. These are three things that were all really important changes for Daydream that never happened. Let's see. And similar to the PlayStation 5 and its DualSense controller, it has tiny textured PlayStation icons hidden in the front and back bands of the headset. Ooh, big deal. It's been 5 years since the original came out. Okay. The headset supports haptic feedback, eye tracking. Okay, that's kind of interesting. 4K HDR, 90 or 120 hertz frame rates, foveated rendering. I don't actually know what that is. And a field of view of 110 degrees, and it connects to the PS5 with a single USB-C cable. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so talking about the original price, I'm sure they don't have the updated, or what the what the VR2's updated price will be, but I would bet it's almost certainly going to be 400 to 500. I mean, just being honest, like they're going to charge the same amount for it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, none of the rest of this stuff is news. It's all just kind of the backstory. Carson, you'd rather get this than a Meta Quest? Oh yeah, 100%. I would have said that at any point in history. I would have said that about the original PSVR. In my opinion, zero question. I think because this is a purpose-built product, it's it's not supposed to do the weird random things that Facebook's going to do with the Quest 2. They are on the Quest 2, right? I think. Or maybe it's just the original, whatever. Anyway, I feel like Facebook is going to stack so much messiness on top of that, whereas PlayStation, well, Sony, but Sony's going to build this, and it is going to do one thing, and that's it. It's for games. They're not going to be trying to run a bunch of other weird software on there. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be cleaner. It's going to have higher refresh rates. I'm fairly confident. I think this is going to be a substantially better product because they're trying to do less with it. And that's probably the greatest possible thing. I'd rather have this any day. So yeah, 100%. This is definitely better. Beyond that, I don't know. I think it's a safe bet that this is going to be... This is probably going to be better games, but maybe not as many. It would be my concern. I feel like the collaboration between Oculus and Valve has probably been a big advantage for Quest. Or, well, Oculus in general. But at the same time, I suppose Sony does seem to be pushing its game studios to do more VR content. So, I don't know. Maybe that is a lot more relevant. Well, if my YouTube channel takes off, I want one of these. And if it doesn't take off, I'm gonna get a different job that pays good money, and I'm gonna get one of these. Hey, that's the best plan I got for this. Sadly, I don't think you can really do good streaming of 3D stuff, right? Or VR stuff. I know it was a thing with Vive, you could kind of do that. And I'm assuming you could probably start doing it on Oculus. I'm not sure how it works with PlayStation. Hey, if Sony will send me stuff as review units, I'm down for that. I know that Oculus was doing that a lot with YouTubers. They were offering a ton of YouTubers review units for the Quest. Or at least it sure seemed that way, because I saw a lot of YouTubers who clearly did not have much of a personal interest in it, but they did reviews on it, which struck me as very telling. I don't remember any of them saying specifically how they got it, but knowing Facebook, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, hey, we're just going to give this to you and we're hoping you review it. And like, Facebook would be the kind of company that wouldn't do a formal review process. They're instead like, here, just take it and say things, please. We don't care what, just take it and say things. And if you say nice things, we'll give you the next one too. It's something that just feels like a very Facebooky thing to do. Let's see. Anyway, yeah. Not a lot else I can think of to say. So I think it's probably about wrap up time, because at this point I'm definitely into the rambling. Really quick, I will say a quick thanks to Diablo and David for being Patreon members. Thanks to others who have donated in recent history. And if you would like to help support the channel, there are links down below to Patreon and Streamlabs. Feel free to click on those and throw whatever you feel is appropriate in that direction. And if not, that's okay too. Let's see. I should be back this weekend for streaming Control. I'm pretty sure. I hope. Let's see. There's a chance that will also be some photo edits or something else. We'll see what comes of this weekend. Because I do have several things that I need to get done, but you never know. Let's see, and depending on how things go, I might. Well, no, I'm not ready for that. Okay. Anyway, I should also have a review unit. Review unit. I just read Carson's last comment and it immediately jumped into my head as I was trying to say I have a review coming up on Android Police somewhere in the next few days, I think. I hope. It's been sitting there. I wrote it. It's just waiting to get edited and then published. But yeah, so I have a review kind of ready to go. And it'll be a little bit more than the typical AP review in a way. It's sort of a subtle kickstart of the YouTube channel ish. So there is that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot else to say. So, yeah, with that, thank you everyone for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation. Thank you for watching, and even if you weren't part of the conversation. I hope you all have an excellent rest of your week. I will be back, like I said, this weekend for something, I'm sure. And as always, back next week for some more rambling. And with that, I wish you all a good night, everybody. Take it easy, and I will see you soon. And I totally forgot and picked the wrong window to find the card. So now, good night, everybody.